Welcome to the global airship survival game. From this moment onward, you will soar across this boundless sky for eternity. The game system will heal all wounds and illnesses. The elderly will regain their youthful vigor, while young children will experience accelerated physical growth. Every participant receives identical starting conditions. Your only disparity lies in your airships. Some will receive hydrogen hot air balloons, while others obtain sci-fi airships or bio-tech vessels. Mature piloting knowledge has been implanted directly into your minds by the system. The sky stretches endlessly, with horizons forever out of reach. Bear one rule firmly in mind: never look back. Keep moving forward without pause. A thunderstorm chases every player from behind at a constant speed of 10 kilometers per hour. Any living creature trapped within its range will be struck down by divine lightning. Li Hao was jolted awake by violent shaking. His head slammed hard against the wooden bedboard, sending a sharp pain shooting through his skull. He instinctively reached for his phone on the bedside, only to grasp nothing but empty air. Li Hao's eyes flew wide open. The familiar ceiling he knew was gone, replaced by an arched steel plate studded densely with rivets. Pipes of varying thickness ran along the walls, their outer surfaces misted with condensed water droplets that occasionally dripped onto the floor with dull plops. Where on earth am I? Pushing himself upright, Li Hao scanned the small room, which measured no more than 10 square meters. Walls, flooring, and ceiling were all assembled steel sheets lined with rivets, bearing the rugged aesthetic of an industrial relic from a bygone era. A boundless expanse of white stretched beyond the single porthole. His bed was an iron-framed cot covered with thin bedding, paired with an iron nightstand topped with an old kerosene lamp. A row of metal lockers was embedded into the opposite wall, their copper handles tarnished with verdigris. Most peculiar of all was a thick iron pipe protruding up from the floor beside his feet, fitted with a gauge whose needle twitched erratically. Hissing bursts of white steam vented from the pipe at intermittent intervals. The handbook. Li Hao suddenly spotted the item resting on his nightstand. It had a stiff brown cover devoid of printed text, embossed solely with a gear emblem. The book felt heavy in his palm, its pages rough to the touch. Li Hao flipped open the cover to read Steam Airship Survival Handbook. Rule 1. You are assigned a basic model airship. It is the foundation of your survival. Treat it with care. Rule 2. The sea of clouds is divided into multiple altitude layers. The low altitude zone holds scarce resources yet remains relatively safe. The high altitude zone abounds in materials but is inhabited by ethereal flying beasts known as void cons. Choose your cruising altitude according to your own capabilities. Rule 3. Floating islands serve as primary resource nodes. Each floating island boasts a unique ecosystem and resources, guarded by its respective native protectors. Rule 4. Ruins of long, lost ancient civilizations are scattered throughout the Cloud Sea. They house powerful technology and forgotten knowledge, alongside dangers capable of annihilating entire fleets. Rule 5. A void storm manifests across the Cloud Sea once every 7 standard days. All airships must dock on floating islands or take shelter in safe harbors during the storm. Any airship exposed to the tempest will be torn to shreds. Rule 6. Your initial supplies are stored inside the lockers. Allocate them rationally. You may open your personal status panel simply by thinking the command in your mind. Rule 7. Stay alive. Panel. Li Hao spoke the thought aloud. A translucent light screen unfurled before his eyes, framed with dark bronze metallic patterns. Rivet and gear motifs rotated slowly along the screen's borders. A piston spewing steam marked the top center, paired with a small pressure gauge in the upper right corner, whose needle rested steadily within the safe green zone. Name: Li Hao. Health points: 100 out of 100 physical condition, perfectly healthy stamina, 100 out of 100 sanity, 87 out of 100 minor mental instability. Warning: sanity below 30 induces visual hallucinations. Values under 20 bring on suicidal tendencies. Total madness occurs once sanity drops beneath 10. Overall combat rating: 3. Ordinary human with negligible combat prowess. Innate talent. Adaptation. Adaptation grants rapid bodily acclimation to any environment and drastically boosts learning efficiency for all skills and knowledge. Airship. Mark II Basic Steam Airship Grade F. Description: a rickety metal coffin. You ought to pray daily that it does not plummet from the sky without warning. Structural integrity: 100/100ths. The vessel remains airborne even with minor component damage. Armor durability: 50/50. Limited armor loss will not ground the airship power fuel reserve. 10/10 depletion of fuel will render the engine fully inoperable. Li Hao fell silent, preparing to close the panel and organize his thoughts, when he noticed a communication icon flickering violently in the bottom right corner. Its notification badge stacked above 99 unread messages. He tapped to open the global chat channel. A flood of frantic messages flooded the interface. Can anyone explain what this transmigration mess is? Anyone due to submit their graduation thesis tomorrow? I'm relieved to ditch revisions, but now I'll never graduate. I'm torn between joy and despair. Calm down and check your status panel first. Don't let your sanity plummet into total madness. Who else got an F grade airship? Raise your hand if you're stuck with one. F here too. Count me in for another F. Looks like we're all stuck with F, rating garbage airships. Cut the negativity. An F grade ship is still a functional craft, janky as it may be. I didn't even get an F vessel. I'm stuck with a hot air balloon with a tattered wicker basket. This was advertised as airship survival, but I'm basically clinging to a giant paper lantern. The channel went quiet for a heartbeat before erupting with even more chaotic replies. Paper lantern survivor? That's brutal. Count your blessings. I only have a glider with no basket at all, suspended by 2 fabric straps. I'm just riding thermal updrafts to stay aloft. At least you can fly. I spawned inside a beat-up cargo plane painted like zebras from Madagascar, with half a banana wedged in the steering wheel. My talent is Jungle Instinct, grants 10% faster movement in jungle terrain while doubling my hunger rate. Where exactly is the jungle supposed to be in the sky? Is this banana my only beginner reward? How absurd is the system's loot pool? It even pulls decommissioned aircraft straight from movies. The loot pool's depth is irrelevant right now. Most of us only have F-grade airships that offer 0 defense against void cons. Our best bet is to avoid encountering those creatures for as long as possible. Li Hao opted not to type a single message into the chat. He closed the channel interface and refocused his gaze on his talent description once more. Adaptation. Your body swiftly acclimates to any surroundings, and your learning speed for all knowledge and abilities is greatly amplified. This talent seems pretty mediocre. What practical use does universal adaptation even have? A mournful roar echoed from outside the airship. The firmament split open, and a colossal figure wrapped in blazing iridescent light plummeted down from the upper atmosphere. It was a dragon. Its membranous wings were shredded, its torso crisscrossed with deep, flesh-tearing wounds. Golden dragon blood streaked a blazing trail through the clouds as it fell. Its sorrowful cry reverberated across the entire sea of clouds. Boom! The massive dragon crashed directly atop Li Hao's airship. The steam vessel lurched sharply out of balance, rivets flying loose and pipes screeching as relief valves vented massive clouds of white steam. Li Hao was thrown hard against the iron wall, a deafening ring filling his ears. Staggering unsteadily, he stumbled toward the porthole. Outside the glass loomed a gigantic vertical pupil fixed unwaveringly upon him. It belonged to the dragon. Molten gold filled the slit-shaped iris, swirling with ancient runes that flickered like stars being born and extinguished within its depths. An overwhelming wave of draconic pressure washed over the airship, seeping through gaps in the steel plating, penetrating Li Hao's skin, bones, and nervous system to crash straight into his soul. Li Hao froze completely in place, not out of fear, but forcibly immobilized by the dragon's aura. He could feel his heart hammering sluggishly in his chest and his lungs drawing shallow breaths. Yet he could not utter a sound or twitch a single muscle fiber in his body. The dragon's vertical pupil narrowed slightly. A voice boomed directly inside Li Hao's consciousness, its words carved permanently into his mind. The tone carried immense age and sovereign authority, each syllable etched into the fabric of reality as primeval cosmic law. Mortal, heed my words. I am Augustus Vilmus Cain, keeper of wisdom and knowledge, witness of the ninefold cloud firmament, guardian of ancient sworn covenants. My physical form lies broken, and my divine power dwindles to its final embers. Under the authority of my remaining divine essence, I propose a binding, equitable pact between us. An intricate magical diagram unfurled within the dragon's pupil, layered with hexagrams, Ouroboros serpents, balance scales, and feathered quill totems. Archaic contractual scripture glowed with dim golden flames across the pattern. Terms of the pact are as follows. Article 1. You may pose a single question, unrestricted in subject matter or complexity. Article 2. Should I be unable to provide an accurate answer, I forfeit the pact. I shall forge a god-tier innate talent using my last reserves of divine power as your compensation. Article 3. If I successfully answer your question, you concede defeat. You shall voluntarily become my bound vassal. surrendering full ownership of your body and soul under the unbreakable seal of this pact. Article 4. You have 60 seconds to voice your question starting this instant. Failure to speak within the time limit constitutes automatic forfeiture, and Article 3 will take immediate effect. This pact is a fair exchange sealed by cosmic law. Neither party may renege upon its terms. The golden flames dancing in the dragon's iris flickered faintly. Li Hao caught a trace of carefully concealed greed lurking deep within those frigid vertical pupils. Augustus sneered inwardly. His true divine soul was trapped inside this crippled dragon corpse. He needed to seize a living mortal vessel to escape certain annihilation. His fading divine strength was insufficient to forcibly hijack a healthy human body directly, but the binding power of ancient covenants bound even gods themselves. He had taken extra precautions. Though omnipotent over all worldly knowledge as the god of wisdom, he had suppressed Li Hao's motor functions with draconic pressure to strip him of the ability to speak. He had additionally imposed a strict 60-second time limit. 60 seconds. A mortal trapped under paralyzing draconic suppression stood no chance of formulating and voicing a coherent question. My plan is flawless. Li Hao truly could not speak. He strained desperately to open his mouth and force even a whimper past his vocal cords, which felt rusted solid and immovable. He attempted to flex his fingers to type words into his status panel, yet his arms felt disconnected from his nervous system, devoid of all responsive movement. This was the crushing weight of draconic aura, a raw hierarchy, based suppression of inferior life forms by vastly superior beings. Identical to how rabbits lock up in terror before predators or moths become transfixed by flame. With a combat rating of merely 3, Li Hao was far more powerless than an ant pinned beneath a boulder against this dragon's aura. Nevertheless, the divine voice continued to echo through his mind. Become my willing vassal. Time limit, 60 seconds. Silence equals automatic surrender. Reading the undisguised greed in the dragon's gaze, Li Hao instantly pieced together the whole scheme. This was never a fair bargain to begin with. Rage surged hot within his chest. He ached to curse the fraudulent pact aloud, yet his lips refused to move an inch. Seconds ticked steadily onward. 10 seconds passed. 20 seconds. Li Hao lost track of the exact time, knowing full well he would be claimed if he failed to speak soon. He forced his mind into sharp clarity, frantically sorting through Earth's most unsolved ultimate mysteries. The trolley problem of saving one's mother or partner, the chicken or egg paradox, the Yang, Mill's existence and mass gap problem, the fundamental nature of consciousness, the boundaries of the universe, the origin of time itself. He cycled through every grand unsolved puzzle he could recall, only to sink deeper into despair. Even if he settled on a question, he remained physically incapable of vocalizing it. Augustus waited patiently, watching anger, struggle, and despair flash sequentially across the mortal's features. He had witnessed countless mortals succumb to desperation before inevitable doom, and he derived quiet satisfaction from this psychological breakdown process. As the patron of wisdom, he possessed an intimate mastery of mortal psychology. Augustus silently counted down the seconds in his mind. 20 seconds remaining, 30, 5 seconds, 40 seconds. The end drew near. In another 10 heartbeats, this youthful, intact mortal body would belong to him entirely. A subtle, victorious curve tugged at the edges of the dragon's vertical pupils. At that precise moment, Li Hao's index finger twitched once, a faint, involuntary spasm, barely noticeable even to himself. Li Hao stared at his own finger in quiet shock, immediately registering a subtle shift. The suffocating blanket of draconic pressure weighing across every inch of his skin had thinned marginally. The aura itself had not weakened. Li Hao's own body was actively adapting to it. My talent, adaptation. Your body swiftly acclimates to any surroundings, and your learning speed for all knowledge and abilities is greatly amplified. His nervous system was calibrating itself to match the frequency of the draconic aura. His muscle fibers adjusted their contraction patterns to counteract the overwhelming pressure. His breathing rhythm naturally synced with the aura's undulating waves, much like finding a hidden current to navigate through raging rapids and reduce resistance drastically. Li Hao narrowed his eyes sharply. He had long dismissed adaptation as a worthless talent, but nothing posed a harsher environmental strain than the coercive pressure of a god-tier dragon's aura. No extreme scenario could push this talent to its absolute limits more effectively than his current predicament. Li Hao refrained from rushing physical movement, closing his eyes to fully focus on the physiological changes spreading through his body. The adaptation ability accelerated its effect, spreading outward from his nerve endings to his muscle groups, permeating his bones and joints layer by layer. The draconic pressure remained heavy, no longer an unbreakable concrete seal, but a thick layer of mud he could gradually push aside with effort. He concentrated every ounce of his awareness on regaining control over his throat, vocal cords, tongue, and lips. 45 seconds, Augustus murmured internally. Only 15 seconds left. Watching Li Hao's eyes slide shut, the dragon assumed the human had surrendered to despair, its pupils crinkling with heightened amusement. Mortals were always bound to their mortal limitations. Li Hao's thoughts raced at maximum speed to craft his question, one the god could never possibly answer. Drawing in a ragged breath, he felt the restraints clamping his throat loosen just enough to vibrate his vocal cords. Augustus watched as Li Hao's eyes snapped open abruptly. The fury and hopelessness had vanished from his gaze, replaced with a sensation of unease that pricked even the god of wisdom's senses. Then Li Hao moved his lips. Slowly and deliberately, words spilled past his parched throat, each syllable crisp and distinct. Given the Riemann zeta function zeta is defined across the entire complex plane via analytic continuation, prove that all non-trivial zeros, solutions to zeta s equals 0 excluding negative even integers, possess a real part strictly equal to 1/2. Augustus's vertical pupils constricted violently. The mortal had spoken. Against the paralyzing force of his divine aura, a human with a combat rating of merely 3 had articulated a complete, coherent sentence. This should have been impossible. A split second of blank confusion washed over Augustus's consciousness. His supposedly foolproof trap had fractured at the very first step. Before he could analyze how the human had broken free of his aura suppression, the binding force of the pact crashed violently against his soul. Enforce Article 2 of the pact. Failure to provide a valid answer constitutes your defeat. The cosmic pact operated with cold impartiality, acknowledging only factual outcomes regardless of circumstance. Augustus's consciousness was forcibly pulled into dissecting the question laid before him. Zeta function, non-trivial zeros, complex plane, real part equal to 1/2. He could comprehend each individual word, yet their combined meaning was entirely alien to his accumulated knowledge. Remain calm. I am Augustus, god of wisdom and knowledge for this world. I hold mastery over every universal truth. An answer must exist within my archives. Li Hao detected the dragon's mounting panic and sneered silently to himself. The entity stood guard over this world's wisdom, yet he hailed from Earth. No deity native to this realm could possibly possess proof for mathematics' most celebrated unsolved conjecture from human academia. Augustus's vertical pupils trembled visibly. What even is this construct? The divine voice lost its regal composure, stammering for the first time. He repeated the question fragments futilely, scrambling to comprehend the unknown concepts while buying precious time. Flames of the contractual magic burned brighter around his draconic form, pressuring him to deliver a definitive response. No solution existed anywhere within the endless reservoir of knowledge stored in his soul. No ancient myth, alchemical principle, or spell framework from this world contained any trace of this mathematical system, let alone proof for this specific hypothesis. Unable to formulate any valid proof, panic bleeded into rage across the dragon's golden irises. Absurd. Augustus roared. What strange fabrication is this? This so-called Riemann conjecture is an unanswerable riddle conjured out of thin air. You are violating the terms of our pact with deceptive wording. I demand an official ruling from the Cosmic Covenant. Questions with no existing solution shall be deemed invalid. He stretched a massive claw toward the void, grasping at invisible cosmic chains to trigger an arbitration hearing. The cold power of the covenant swept across Augustus's soul to conduct its review. Moments later, the cosmic judgment descended upon him. Arbitration complete. The submitted question features precise definitions and logically consistent mathematical framing and qualifies as a legitimate inquiry, not meaningless wordplay. Respond immediately. Refusal to provide a valid answer within the remaining time will confirm your defeat and activate Article 2 of the pact. Augustus's pupils dilated to their fullest extent. No. He raised his massive claw with the intent to annihilate the human with residual dragon fire or brute physical force, yet a far stronger cosmic weight crashed down to restrain him. Warning: hostile action directed toward the questioner is strictly prohibited during pact resolution. Augustus let loose a roar of bitter defiance, his massive claw retracting inch by inch under the irresistible binding force of the ancient covenant. As the final seconds drained away, primal fear bloomed within the god of wisdom for the very first time. He had believed himself omniscient, only to be trapped and defeated by a single mathematical question originating from a world beyond his dominion. He frantically rummaged through every scrap of knowledge he possessed, attempting to derive a solution from scratch by simulating countless mathematical pathways with his divine power, yet every attempt ended in utter failure. But the very reason the Riemann hypothesis is what it is lies in the fact that it has stood for decades, an ultimate puzzle countless genius mathematicians have strived in vain to crack. How could anyone possibly prove it? Not even a god. No, it was no longer an omnipotent, omniscient god, merely an ancient dragon, broken after its fall, its divine power all but spent, unable even to seize control of a mortal's body. Augustus's retrieval was slowing down. Its vertical pupils began to glaze over. Why? It muttered, its voice stripped of all majesty and arrogance. Nothing left but utter, shattering bewilderment. Why is this happening? Why does such a thing even exist? It could find no answer. It was destined never to find one. Li Hao leaned against the iron wall. Aided by adaptation, his body had broken free from total rigid paralysis, yet he felt as though every ounce of strength had been drained out of him. Much like an untrained ordinary man who had just run 10 kilometers non-stop, every muscle in his body trembled, and he could barely stay upright. Still, a grin tugged uncontrollably at the corners of Li Hao's mouth. He stared at the dragon that, only minutes earlier, had been invincible, crushing him with its draconic aura and laying a trap to possess him. Now it was tormented by a mathematical problem, its whole worldview shattered. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Augustus finally halted its search. Its vertical pupils lost all light completely. The dark, gold runes across its dragon body faded inch by inch. It lifted its head and looked at Li Hao one last time. Gone was the predator's greed in its gaze. Only hollow, defeated confusion remained. You. Its voice was feeble. Tell me, what even is the Riemann hypothesis? What kind of unholy knowledge is this? Li Hao looked at it. At this god of wisdom and knowledge, broken and undone by mathematics. He gave a soft chuckle. Mathematics, he said. It is simply mathematics. Augustus's vertical pupils flew wide open. I hate mathematics. A shrill, anguished roar echoed across the sea of clouds. The very last dark, gold rune upon its dragon body died out. Then the materialized contract appeared. Floating in mid-air, its lines lit up one by one, and the engraved scales tipped towards Li Hao's side. The interrogator has finished questioning. The respondent failed to provide an answer. Contract outcome. Respondent defeated. Compensation clause being enforced. The contract dissolved into a wisp of golden light, drifted toward Li Hao, and vanished into his forehead. A system notification echoed inside his mind. Detected integration of God, tier contract power. Talent undergoing evolution. Evolution complete. You have obtained a new talent. Equivalent exchange. Li Hao opened his status panel and glanced at the talent section. Talent. Adaptation. Your body rapidly adapts to all environments. Learning efficiency for anything is greatly increased. Talent. Equivalent exchange. You may sacrifice any item to raise the quality of another item of your choosing. The magnitude of improvement depends on the quality and value of the sacrificed material. Cooldown. 24 hours. Staring at the words equivalent exchange on his panel, Li Hao could hardly suppress his smile. Having seen what adaptation could do, he would never underestimate these talents again. The seemingly unassuming adaptation had given him a fighting chance against divine draconic pressure. Just how overpowered would this explicitly God-tier equivalent exchange be? Li Hao's gaze drifted slowly toward the top of the airship. The dragon's corpse still hung there. Broken as it was, it remained a divine corpse. Ideas raced through Li Hao's mind. If he sacrificed the dragon corpse upon himself, becoming a full-fledged god might be out of reach, but surely he could attain demigod status? If not a demigod, then a dragon, blood warrior, or a dragon, lineage sorcerer. That would still skyrocket his power. Li Hao rubbed his hands together and activated equivalent exchange, targeting the dragon corpse. A cold system prompt popped up on his panel. This talent can only enhance objects. Living beings are not valid targets. Li Hao's smile froze on his face. Why don't I count as an object? He grumbled indignantly, yet the system ignored him. Very well. Unable to empower himself, he began searching the airship for something worth upgrading. Inside the storage locker were basic survival supplies. A few cans of fresh water, compressed rations, a coil of rope, and a multi-purpose survival knife. The bed was an iron frame bed, Lighting came from a kerosene lamp. The pressure release pipe was fairly thick, yet upgrading a pipe hardly seemed worthwhile. Li Hao rummaged everywhere and found nothing worthy of being enhanced with a dragon, God's corpse. His eyes drifted back to the airship itself. Then they lit up. Can I use the dragon corpse to upgrade this airship? This Mark II basic steam airship, mocked by the system as a decrepit iron coffin, held merely an F rating. Yet it was the very foundation of his survival. Rule number 1 from the manual, treat it well. Li Hao took a deep breath and mentally invoked equivalent exchange, targeting the dragon corpse. This time the system responded. Dark, gold light welled forth from Li Hao's forehead, spreading like a fine, meshed net to envelop the entire dragon corpse. The dragon body dissolved into motes of light that streamed into the steam airship. The whole vessel bathed in warm golden radiance as every component was remolded. The glow lasted 10 full seconds before abruptly fading. System notification sounded. Equivalent exchange complete. Sacrificed item. Remains of Augustus, god of wisdom and knowledge, divine power exhausted. Soul annihilated. Physical integrity, 12%. Target of enhancement. Mark II basic steam airship. New trait. Dragon, wing cruise. Dragon, wing cruise. Massive dragon. Wings extend from either side of the airship, granting high speed cruising. This mode draws upon residual biological energy within the dragon wings and consumes no fuel. Li Hao waited eagerly for further updates. None came. That's it. He stared at his panel in disbelief. A whole divine dragon corpse. A genuine god corpse. And all I get is a speed trait? What even is this airship built out of? Deep space battleship material. Li Hao felt thoroughly aggrieved. In his opinion, sacrificing a dragon god corpse ought to boost the airship straight from F rank all the way to A rank or higher. He had pictured dragon, breath main cannons, dragon, scale plating, soul, warding shields, all manner of god tier gear. Instead, he got a pair of wings for fast cruising, zero combat capabilities. As if sensing his complaints, a line quietly appeared upon the panel. Following contract resolution, Augustus held no remaining divine power, and its soul was completely destroyed. Only 12% of its physical form remained, further damaged by its fall from the 9 heavens and contract backlash. Most biological essence has leaked away. Strictly speaking, this is merely dragon-shaped organic debris. Assessed equivalent value, very low. The acquired trait represents a reasonable outcome. Li Hao fell silent. Truth be told, if that dragon god had retained even a shred of life force, it would never have gambled everything against him. Fine. At the very least, it granted greater speed with zero fuel expenditure. Out here amid the endless sea of clouds, sheer speed was survival in itself. Li Hao headed for the cockpit. Instinctive operating knowledge had been implanted directly into his mind. He knew exactly what each lever controlled, what every gauge reading meant, how to tune the rudder amid turbulent air currents. Li Hao gripped the steering wheel. Cool copper met his palm. He drew a deep breath and pulled the lift lever. The steam airship rumbled. Pistons whirred, pressure, release valves vented plumes of white steam, and instrument needles jumped in unison. Slowly the vessel ascended through the clouds. He flipped the cruise switch. Steel plating on both sides slid open. Enormous dragon, wings unfurled outwards, spanning dozens of meters. Dark, gold patterns flowed across their membranes, and every wing, bone glowed with the sheen of ancient metal. One beat of the wings sent the airship surging forward like an arrow loosed from a bow. The speed was staggering, and the fuel gauge did not move one bit. Standing before the wheel, Li Hao watched clouds streak past the viewport, unable to stop himself from smiling. Along his path, other survivors' airships dotted the sea of clouds. They came in all shapes and sizes, other lumbering steam airships belching black smoke. Hot air balloons whose woven baskets sported gaping holes, their occupants frantically patching them up, even a zebra, livery cargo plane half, stripped of its Madagascar decals. As Li Hao's steam airship shot past, its outstretched dragon wings traced twin trails of dark, gold light through cloud. The other survivors erupted in shock. Whoa, what on earth was that? A steam airship with wings? Since when do steam airships have dragon wings? Dragon wings? Are you kidding me? Did that guy unlock some secret airship variant? Wait a minute. We are all supposed to be survivors. Why does he get fancy cosmetics? I'm so jealous. Li Hao paid them no mind, savoring the thrill of soaring at high altitude. Right then, a global system announcement boomed inside every survivor's head. Global announcement. Server, wide random airdrops have begun. Airdrop crates will spawn randomly across the sea of clouds, containing high-grade supplies, rare gear, and special items. All survivors are advised to retrieve them. Competition is part of survival. LV100's eyes scan the sky outside at once. Airdrops. Just like supply drops in battle royale games. Could these crates hold top-tier gear? Luck favored him. Soon he spotted a red drifting down far away. A square crate suspended beneath a parachute, bright red and blue casing. A signal stick spitting orange. Red smoke trailing a vivid plume through cloud. It looked exactly like the airdrop crates he remembered. Li Hao jammed the steering wheel forward. The dragon, wings beat hard, and his airship arced sharply, rocketing full speed toward the crate. Fuel consumption stayed flat, yet his velocity dwarfed that of pure steam propulsion. He reached directly beneath the crate while it still hung mid-air, drifting slowly downwards. Carefully adjusting altitude, he aligned the top of his airship perfectly with the crate's trajectory. Thud! The airdrop crate landed firmly on his airship roof. Li Hao tied one rope around his waist and fastened the other securely to an iron pipe inside the cockpit. The cloud-filled void stretched endlessly below. A slip would mean instant death. He pushed open the skylight. Cold, damp wind rushed in. Clutching the metal ladder, he climbed step by step onto the roof. The crate stood half a man tall. Its plastic shell bore a parachute icon, and its signal stick still hissed thick red smoke. He knelt down, latched onto the clasp, and pulled hard. The lid popped open. Li Hao leaned forward and peered inside. Nothing spectacular. No blinding radiance. No legendary artifact awakening. Resting quietly inside lay merely a fishing rod. Bewildered, Li Hao lifted it out. Crafted from some unknown cool, to the touch dark, green material, its handle bore fine engraved patterns, giving it a refined appearance. He flipped it over, and its system description materialized. Illusory, Kuan fishing rod. Quality, fine. Trait, cloud, sea angling. May cast lines over any cloud edge. Line extends deep into the cloud sea. Description, if fish live in water, why cannot you fish for illusory, Kuan in the sky? Dream big, even anglers ought to. Note, there is no guarantee you will catch an illusory, Kuan. Even if you hook one, there is no guarantee you will survive the encounter. Adjust fishing depth according to your own strength. Angling carries risk. Cast with caution. Li Hao stood holding the fishing rod, dumbfounded. Fishing in the sky? He shook his head, half amused. Still, system-issued items were rarely useless. This rod could hook illusory, Kuan. It might prove useful someday. He stowed it inside storage and climbed back into the cockpit. More orange, red smoke plumes dotted the horizon. More airdrops were still falling. Li Hao gripped the wheel and grinned. Having robbed the first crate, he knew just how overpowered his dragon wings were. While other survivors drifted sluggishly like elderly oxen, his wing-equipped steam airship moved like a predatory falcon. Upgraded with a god, corpse for real. Let's go. He pushed the wheel forward. Dragon, wings hammered down, slicing through clouds toward the nearest smoke plume that a hot air balloon survivor watched their incoming crate descend straight for their basket and typed excitedly in global chat. Huh? A free airdrop. I'm gonna strike it rich. Before they finished typing, a streak of dark gold flashed overhead. Turbulence sent the balloon rocking violently. When they steadied themselves and looked up, the crate was gone. They stared blankly at the departing airship and its outrageously imposing dragon wings. Wait, what flew past? Where is my airdrop? I got robbed too. Some steam airship with wings, insanely fast. I watched my crate 200 meters ahead, and then he swooped in and snatched it right out from under me. Same here. Did he install nitrous boosters? How can anyone move that fast? Wait, did everyone see those dragon wings? Dragon wings. Someone got dragon wings on launch day? Earlier people saw a colossal dragon fall out of the sky and vanish among clouds. Could he have looted it? So jealous. Jealous +1. Jealous plus 10,086. Li Hao ignored global chat. He raced toward the next signal plume. His airship weaved through clouds, dragon wings beating rapidly, a streak of dark gold lightning. Wherever smoke marked a falling crate, he arrived first. Every descending supply crate landed neatly upon his roof before anyone else drew near. A survivor riding a paraglider watched helplessly as yet another crate vanished and shouted in chat. Mate, leave some scraps for the rest of us. You get all the meat, at least let us smell it. Li Hao skimmed global chat, smiled, and turned toward the final smoke trail. Chat exploded. This is so unfair. Is there no moderation? That must be cheating. Reporting. Where is the report button? Winged bandit. Cloud, sea scourge. I hate those dragon wings. Li Hao circled the surrounding sky, confirming no more signal smoke rose. All airdrops had been claimed. He pulled the deceleration lever. The dragon, wings folded away, and his steam airship hovered calmly above a quiet bank of clouds. Time to tally my loot. One after another he hauled the crates into the cabin and pried open their lids. Soon his iron frame bed piled high with goods. Food. King Shifu sour, spicy beef instant noodles times 6, Lao Gan Ma chili sauce times 3, Shuanghui King sausages times 10, Nongfu spring mineral water times 12, compressed biscuits times 8, Fu, Ling mustard pickles times 10, Dove chocolate times 4, White rabbit creamy candy times 1 pack. Tools, Zippo lighter times 1, Swiss Army knife times 1, High, power flashlight times 1, Nylon climbing rope times 2, Yunnan Baiyao first, aid kit times 1, portable gas stove times 1, weapons defensive gear, baseball bat times 1, entrenching shovel times 1, pepper, spray canister times 3, materials, 304, grade stainless, steel plates times 4, nylon tarpaulin times 3 rolls. Abundant supplies filled Li Hao with deep satisfaction. Food comes first above all else. Time for a proper meal. Hopefully this instant noodle pack has no unpleasant surprises. He tore open a packet of King Shifu instant noodles, tipped them into a small pot, and lit his portable gas stove. Soon water bubbled vigorously. He tossed in a sausage, took a marinated egg, sliced it in half with his Swiss Army knife, and dropped both into the pot. The rich aroma of cooked noodles filled the cramped metal cabin. Holding the pot, he slurped mouthfuls of noodles. Springy noodles swam in savory broth. The sausage released familiar starchy sweetness with every bite. Delicious. Leaning against the metal wall, Li Hao exhaled slowly. This was his first hot meal since arriving in this endless skyward. While eating, he glanced casually at global chat. Messages flooded in full of misery. Has anyone actually seen an airdrop? Did the system even spawn them in my region? I haven't spotted a single puff of smoke. Good news, I got an airdrop. Bad news. All it gave me was toilet paper. I don't know whether to celebrate or weep. At least I can wipe myself. Toilet paper is a godsend. I'm in real need right now. Can you spare a sheet? Anyone got extra food? I have eaten 2 meals of rock-hard compressed biscuits. My teeth are suffering. Has anybody had hot food yet? I'm starving, genuinely starving. If someone gave me a bowl of noodles right now, I would trade them my whole airship. Don't even get me started. I keep dreaming of braised pork belly. Glossy soy sauce, glazed layers of fat and lean meat, tender enough to fall apart on chopsticks, perfect over rice. I could eat 3 bowls. Stop talking about it. I keep thinking of hot pot. Sliced tripe blanched briefly, dipped in sesame oil garlic sauce, spicy enough to make me gasp, but impossible to stop eating. Clouds look like tripe to me now. Barbecue. All I crave is barbecue. Lamb skewers sizzling over charcoal, sprinkled with cumin and chili flakes. Crispy rendered fat bursts in your mouth when you bite down. Ugh, I can't go on. Everyone's gone crazy. We are just listing our favorite foods. What else is there to do? Stare at clouds all day? Hunger makes you daydream. Drinking water only makes me hungrier. Quick poll. Type 1 if you have eaten anything at all, even a single candy. Only sparse ones popped up. Just that few? Everyone else is starving. Starving. Starving +1. +2. +10,086. I am so famished I could devour a whole cow alive. Li Hao slurped more noodles, reading the flood of complaints, then looked down at his steaming pot. Sausage slices bobbed in broth. The marinated egg soaked up flavor and darkened. Truly satisfying. Yet, Li Hao set down his chopsticks, pursed his lips, and fell quiet for a moment. He typed a message into global chat. I have surplus food available for trade. Offer materials, spare parts, or intelligence. Bring what you have and make an offer. First come, first served. Chat fell completely silent for a heartbeat. Then messages poured forth like a broken dam. Wow. Sir, look at me. I have refined steel plates. 1 plate for a packet of noodles, please. I have spare copper piping salvaged from steam airship maintenance. Just give me 2 sausages. Will intelligence work? I sketched observations of illusory coin. My sketch is for 1 can of luncheon meat. Honest. Sir, what do you want? Name it. I will give whatever I have. I am starving badly. I keep hallucinating braised pork when I look at clouds. I have nothing to trade. Could you spare just a little food? I will become your loyal follower. I will obey every order you give. Li Hao scanned rapidly, skipping over pleas for handouts and opening private messages only from people offering concrete goods. He was no saint. While he possessed spare supplies and was willing to help, he refused to put himself at risk. Self-sacrificing charity was foolish naivety. Where reasonable, he might help others survive, but never at his own expense. Dozens of private message negotiations followed. Trading surplus food earned him a trove of valuable goods. Thank you so much. I have been starving for ages. Right after being transported here, I had just finished a 10-kilometer run. Without your food, I might not have made it through the day. Bro, thank you so much. I wasted so much stamina trying to grab that airdrop, only to find a roll of toilet paper inside. I was so crushed I almost lost my mind. I honestly wouldn't have made it without your help. This is delicious. The bread you gave me is amazing. I'm so lucky to have met you, so lucky. They thanked Li Wu profusely, pouring out endless gratitude. It took Li Wu quite some effort to bring the conversation to an end. He stacked the materials he had traded for inside the storage locker, closed the door, and let out a long breath. He had finished his instant noodle meal, drinking down every last drop of broth. Warmth spread through his stomach, calming his nerves significantly. Wiping his mouth, Li Wu's gaze fell on the dark green fishing rod resting on the nightstand. Void Kuan fishing rod. He had obtained it from an airdrop and had never used it since. According to its description, it was an item meant for fishing within the Sea of Clouds. Fishing in a sea of clouds? Li Wu picked up the rod, turning it over in his hands. The whole idea struck him as absurd. Back on Earth, I barely ever went fishing. I'd sit by a reservoir for hours and not catch even a single crucian carp. Now I'm supposed to fish up in the sky? All right then, I'll give it a shot. Holding the fishing rod, he extended it out through the porthole. Following the subtle engraved markings on its shaft, he dipped the rod tip into the clouds. The dark green rod hummed. An invisible fishing line unfurled from its tip, sinking deep into the sea of clouds. Nothing was visible, only endless white mist. Leaning against the porthole, he rested the rod across his elbow and waited patiently. He had braced himself for sitting idle for hours with nothing to show for it. There were no more airdrops to chase anyway. This would simply pass the time. 3 minutes later, the rod tip dipped sharply. Already a bite. Li Wu's spirits shot up. He hurriedly began reeling in the line. The rod shook violently in his grasp. Bending into a deep arc, muffled splashing sounds drifted up from deep within the cloud layers. Gritting his teeth, he hauled the line back. The invisible fishing line traced a sweeping arc through the clouds. Splash! A mass burst out from the clouds. Li Wu's smile froze on his face. This was no fish. Roughly basketball-sized, it was a semi-transparent, faintly glowing blob of gelatin, drifting in midair like a shell-less jellyfish. Glop glop. Its surface swelled and contracted repeatedly with each soft, faint noise. Li Wu leaned in out of curiosity. Blink. The Void Kuan suddenly opened its eyes. Countless irregularly arranged eyes were embedded within the gelatinous mass, all turning to fix on Li Wu at once. Each eye was a different color, and every single pupil locked onto him. System notice. You have encountered an unknown Void Kuan creature. Sanity check in progress. Sanity -5. Current sanity 82-100. A buzzing noise filled Li Wu's head. New bubbles kept swelling across the gelatinous body. When each bubble burst, another newly formed eye would peek out, glance briefly at him, then sink back beneath the surface. Sanity -3. Current sanity 79/100. Sanity -4. Current sanity 75/100. Sanity -6. Current sanity 69/100. One system alert popped up right after another. His sanity drained away like water leaking from a bucket. Li Wu could feel his thoughts growing muddled. An indescribable dread crept upward from the base of his spine. He instinctively tried to look away, yet there were far too many eyes. No matter which way he turned his head, at least 5 or 6 eyes lingered at the edge of his field of vision, watching him. He could not even tell if this creature possessed a front or a back. Eyes covered every inch of its body. Sanity -5. Current sanity 64/100. At that moment, a warm surge welled from Li Wu's forehead. Adaptation talent activated. Pale golden light flowed faintly beneath his skin, wrapping around his whole body like an ultra-thin membrane. Adaptation, mental intrusion detected. Neural readjustment underway, adjustment complete. Rate of sanity loss reduced. Sanity loss has stopped. Current sanity, 63/100. Sanity will slowly regenerate over time. Huff, huff. Li Wu gasped for breath. The gelatinous Void Kuan still bobbed about, its countless eyes blinking on and off in turn, seemingly confused by the human's reaction. Staring straight at it, Li Wu muttered, "What on earth even is this thing?" He slowly bent down and grabbed the baseball bat lying at the foot of his bed. Gripping it firmly with both hands, he swung hard straight at the area where most eyes clustered. "Quit scaring me." Thud. A solid, heavy impact. The Void Kuan bounced, hit the metal floor, hopped twice, and then fell still. Every single eye closed simultaneously. Breathing heavily, Li Wu stood holding the bat and stared down at the now-quiet gelatin mass. Its body gradually shrank into a tighter ball. Pale silver sheen spread across its semi-transparent skin, like moonlight filtering through thin cloud cover. A system panel popped up, displaying its information. Li Wu glanced down to read it. Name: Thousand-Eyed Jelly Pelt Category. Sea Cloud Planktonic Voidcoin Quality. Common Aggressiveness. None Toxicity. None Edible. Yes. Description: a common plankton-type voidcoin found in the lower sea cloud layers. Resembles a jellyfish. The eye-like organs spread across its surface are only light and airflow sensors, not actual eyeballs. Do not frighten yourself unnecessarily. Its outer skin is rich in gelatinous protein. The flesh has a crisp, springy texture. It tastes great served cold in salad or blanched and eaten with dipping sauce. Note: the eye-like organs must be removed before cooking. Closing your eyes while removing them yields better results. Li Wu fell silent after reading the description. This thing was edible, and from the description it actually sounded pretty good. Its appearance, however, left a great deal to be desired. Glancing down at the thousand-eyed jelly pelt on the floor, he then looked back toward his storage cabinet stuffed full of instant noodles and chocolate. For now, he had more than enough food. Still, I worked hard to fish this up. It feels wasteful just to throw it back. Upholding the principle of not wasting resources, Li Wu stored away the jelly pelt. He took a photo using the system camera and posted it to the public chat channel. Caught something. The system says it's edible. Anyone want to trade for it? The moment the photo was sent, the chat channel fell dead silent for a split second, then exploded. What is that abomination? My eyes. Just glancing at the screenshot cost me 3 sanity points. You owe me sanity. Have mercy on us. Even looking at this through a screen drives me half mad. And you ask if anybody wants to eat it? Dude, are you that starved you'll put anything in your mouth? Even Cthulhu would shake his head at this. Why so many eyes? So many. I counted at least 20. 20 eyes staring at you. And you tell me this is food? System popped a -2 sanity alert just from seeing the picture. And that's only a screenshot. If I saw this in person, I'd probably go completely insane. Buddy, have you checked your status panel? Low sanity must be making you hallucinate. Don't eat that. Li Wu pasted the full system stats for the thousand-eyed jelly pelt into chat. A private message soon popped up. Hey, about that jelly pelt, would you trade it? I'm starving out here. Li Wu raised an eyebrow. You seriously want it? Doesn't seeing it drain your sanity? It does. -3 sanity each glance. I'm down to 71 right now. But I haven't eaten in ages and none of my airdrops contained food. Name your price. Li Wu thought for a moment. What do you have to offer? Gasoline. 1 20-liter can of 92-octane petrol. My airship runs on fuel. I started with 2 cans and still have 1 spare. Li Wu's eyes lit up. Gasoline was an extremely valuable commodity in the sea of clouds. Though his steam-powered airship required no petrol, he might well come across fuel-burning engines or generators in the future. Even as a trading chip alone, gasoline was priceless. Deal. They completed the transaction through the system. The thousand-eyed jelly pelt dissolved into data streams and vanished, while a red plastic jerry can holding 92-octane gasoline materialized inside Li Wu's storage locker. Roughly 20 minutes later, the survivor who had traded for the jelly pelt posted a food review in the public chat. Guys, honestly, the thousand-eyed jelly pelt is freaking delicious. You've lost your mind? I'm serious. I kept my eyes closed while cutting off those eye-like bits, blanched the meat in water, and wow. That bouncy, crisp texture. Crunchy bites. I used some soy sauce I looted from an airdrop as dip. I cried. I really cried. I'd gone 2 full days without eating, and this is the best thing I have ever tasted. I'm staring at my remaining half plate with very mixed feelings. My sanity keeps dropping, -1 point every time I look down. But it's so tasty. I can't stop eating. Sanity goes down while I eat. I keep eating while sanity drops, and I'm laughing like an idiot. Huh? I'm so happy. This man has snapped. Thousand-eyed jelly pelt. Cthulhu falls silent. Lovecraft sheds tears. Hey, how much sanity do you have left? 53. Worth every point lost, honestly. High above the clouds. Good food is not to be wasted. Wake up. Once sanity drops below 50, the system warns mild hallucinations start kicking in. So what about hallucinations? In my hallucination, I'm eating cold jelly salad my mom used to make, and it tastes even better. No hope left. Carry him away. A man driven to the brink by strange jelly food. Li Wu read through the chat threads, the corners of his mouth twitching. He was glad he had enough supplies and did not have to take a bite of that eye-covered blob. Even so, far more people were expressing envy than disgust. Honestly, I'm kind of craving it. I haven't eaten for a day and a half. Right now I'd eat that jelly pelt, no questions asked. Eyes don't matter. Close your eyes, and it's just protein. Fair point. When starvation hits hard, appearances don't mean a thing. I don't care what it looks like. Where can I catch one? Was that fishing rod from an airdrop? Can you catch other stuff? Can you fish another one up and sell it to me? I'll give you 10 copper ingots. I'll trade a crossbow. A box of ammunition. I don't own any guns or crossbows, but ammo means hope. Li Wu set down his chopsticks and prepared to type a reply when a system announcement boomed inside every survivor's mind. Global announcement. Storm cloud incoming. A large-scale thunderhead system is forming. Full global coverage expected. Thunderstorm intensity high. The pursuit storm will keep advancing at 10 kilometers per hour, following standard movement rules. All survivors must adjust your airship heading and keep moving. Do not stray into the pursuit storm zone while evading thunderstorms. The thundercloud will arrive in 30 minutes. All entities within range will be struck indiscriminately by lightning. The chat channel erupted in panic. Thundercloud? I haven't had a proper meal all day, and now I'm going to get struck by lightning? What kind of cruel joke is this? My airship propulsion just broke. Top speed is only 5 kilometers per hour. Am I going to die? Fix it right away. Patch the system however you can. If you can't outrun the storm, you're finished. It's over. My hot air balloon got blown off course and is spinning in place. The clouds are already darkening over here. It's happening fast. Li Wu spun sharply toward the porthole. The once clear sky darkened before his very eyes. Lightning flickered deep within cloud banks. Where lightning struck, clouds were blasted open into blinding, burning holes. Boom. The first thunderbolt landed. A thick bolt of lightning pierced through layers of cloud and struck an airship desperately trying to climb higher. Even several kilometers away, Li Wu saw it clearly. The airship snapped clean in two. A blinding orange-red fireball exploded outward. Debris sprayed everywhere. Thick black smoke billowed, and the two broken hull fragments plunged down into the endless sea cloud abyss. Wails flooded the public chat. Good God, the thunder in this survival world is terrifying. Those lightning bolts are dozens of meters wide, like a whole building slamming down on you. Someone help. I've always feared thunder. Seeing all these flashes and hearing the booms has left me paralyzed. I can't steer my airship to escape. Wong was right beside me. His airship got hit. It shattered completely. I watched him. The message cut off mid-sentence. Whoever typed it was likely gone. The chat channel fell completely quiet. No more messages appeared. Every survivor was gripped by terror, fully occupied piloting desperately to evade the storm. Li Wu took a deep breath and gripped the steering wheel. His heart hammered, yet he kept his composure. He possessed something no other survivor had. Dragon wings. He flipped the cruise switch. Steel plating on both sides of his steam airship slammed open. The dragon wings blazed bright against the dim sky. Light patterns rippled across the wing membranes like blood vessels, each pulse surging the airship forward in sharp bursts. Whoosh! Thunder roared behind him in pursuit. Li Wu heard constant cracks of thunder ringing in his ears. Lightning outside the porthole flashed so brightly he could barely keep his eyes open, bathing the cockpit in harsh white light. Still, he moved faster. The dragon wings beat continuously. His airship weaved through gaps between lightning strikes. Li Wu kept his eyes fixed firmly ahead, while glancing sideways at the system alert panel showing expanding red danger zones marking active lightning areas. He easily stayed clear of every threat. Not once did the thunderstorm even come close to catching up with him. Not everyone was as fortunate as Li Wu. Survivors facing certain death sent parting wishes into the chat channel. Guys, I'm going first. Stay alive. And, Yitting, I've had a crush on you for 8 years. Please survive. Curse this world and this cruel survival game. Everyone hold on to every chance to live. Never give up hope. I remember a quote from Noor Atai. Even if the sky crumbles, humanity marches forward singing. That is our fate. Farewell, everyone. Li Wu kept flying, pushing the throttle to maximum. Dragon wings beat hard as he raced across the thunderlit dark sky, dodging repeated lightning strikes and storm clouds. After what felt like forever, the thunder gradually faded. Lightning outside the porthole grew sparser. Clouds shifted from lead gray to deep blue, then lightened further. A crack split open the heavy overcast above, sunlight pouring down over the sea of clouds like a pale golden waterfall. Is it over? Li Wu gasped for air. He checked his system panel. Thunderstorm warning. Thunderstorm event concluded. Storm cloud system weakening. Full dissipation expected within 1 hour. Li Wu let go of the steering wheel and slumped back. Cold sweat soaked his back. His shirt clung to his skin, chilled by gusts of wind. Sparse messages trickled back into the chat channel. I survived. I actually made it out alive. A bolt struck meters from my port side. I could smell ozone. My hair was standing straight on end. Can anyone tell me how many people just died in that storm? This is only day 1 of the survival challenge. How can the difficulty already be this nightmarish? What horrors are still waiting for us? Can any of us truly survive? Nobody answered that question. No one knew. One thing was certain. The once lively chat channel felt far emptier now. Many user avatars would never light up again. Li Wu closed the chat window. He did not wish to keep reading. Night fell. The thunderstorm had fully passed, and the sea of clouds returned to its usual appearance. Countless stars glittered overhead. Unobscured by atmospheric haze, the night sky blazed with surreal brilliance. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a slowly flowing river of stars. What a sky free of light pollution. I miss this. Back on Earth, city light drowning hid most stars. You could only glimpse faint starlight out in rural countryside. Li Wu brought his airship to a hover above a calm stretch of cloud. He ran through a full systems check. Hull integrity, armor levels, power supply, all readings normal. Dragon wings folded back into their steel compartments. All instrument needles sat steady in their positions. Li Wu ate a simple light meal, then threw himself onto his metal-framed bed. He was utterly exhausted. Between outwitting divine entities, looting airdrops, and fleeing the thunderstorm, his eyelids felt weighed down with lead. Sanity, 66 out of 100 minor mental instability. Rest recommended. Stamina, 25 out of 100 severe exhaustion. Rest immediately advised. Glancing at his status panel, Li Wu shut his eyes. 3 seconds later, he slipped into deep unconsciousness. He had no idea how long he slept, perhaps a few hours, perhaps deep into the night, when a sound roused him. Tap, 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 tap. Someone seemed to be rapping their knuckles against his porthole. Who's there? Li Wu jolted awake. The cabin lay in complete darkness. His kerosene lamp had burned out. Only tiny green indicator lights on the dashboard cast faint illumination, sending wavering shadows of pipes dancing across the metal walls. Tap, tap, tap. The noise came again, from the porthole. A chill ran down Li Wu's spine. He sat up slowly, felt for his high-power flashlight beside his pillow, held his thumb over the power switch, took a deep breath, and aimed straight at the porthole. He clicked the light on. The beam pierced the glass and illuminated whatever waited outside. Li Wu's pupils constricted sharply. It was a giant lizard. It clung to the airship's steel plating outside the porthole with limbs twisted in an eerie, unnatural posture. Instead of splaying sideways like a regular lizard's forelegs, its arms extended straight down from its shoulder sockets, just like an ape's. 5 suction-tipped claws dug firmly into the gaps between rivets. Then it moved. With agility utterly unbecoming of a reptile, it scrambled swiftly over to the cabin door. Its forepaws fumbled for the latch. Suction claws latched onto the door crack, pulling and yanking. The sealed cabin door was pried open from the outside. Whoosh, cold wind flooded inside, carrying a damp, rank stench. Li Hao finally received its system panel notification. Ape lizard. Species, Skyclaw void kaiju. Description, a sky predator blending reptilian and primate traits. Its limb structure resembles apes, superb at climbing and gripping. Hooked barbs and suction pads line its toes, letting it traverse smooth metal surfaces freely. Its intelligence matches that of an 8-year-old child. Cunning and patient, it often tails airships for hours waiting for the perfect moment to break in. Preys on small flying creatures and human food stores. Note, it can open doors. Yes, it knows how to operate doors. Lock every window and door the instant you spot one. Hiss hiss. The ape lizard flicked its tongue. Its forked tongue quivered in the air, tasting scents inside the cabin. Its vertical pupil locked onto Li Hao for 1 second. Then ferocity flared. It lunged. Li Hao threw himself sideways and dodged. The beast's razor claws raked across his shoulder, tearing his coat open. Wadding spilled out of the gash. Li Hao had no time to mourn his ruined jacket. He sprinted into the cockpit, seized the heavy iron door, and slammed it hard. Boom! The iron door crashed shut bare millimeters from the ape lizard's snout. The latch clicked home. The lizard slammed its paws against the door. The thick metal shuddered, yet held fast. Leaning against the inner side of the door, Li Hao gasped for breath. Set into the door was a palm-sized round glass viewport. He lifted his gaze and met a turquoise vertical eye staring straight back at him. The ape lizard was watching him. Its eyes narrowed, pupils slitting to thin lines. Across its scale-covered face, Li Hao read something eerily close to amusement. The ape lizard lowered its head and began working on the latch. A forepaw wrapped around the door handle, twisting experimentally, while hooked toes pried at the latch catch. Metallic scraping persisted for more than 10 seconds. Then it gave up. It shot Li Hao one final glance, spun around, and vanished out of the cockpit door's field of view, tail dragging behind it. Sanity -5. Current sanity, 72/100. Rummaging noises echoed from the main cabin. Clang, clatter. Leaning against the iron door, Li Hao heard storage cabinets wrenched open and goods clattering across the floor. Is it going through my supplies looking for food? Sanity -3. Current sanity, 69/100. Glass bottles knocked together. A jar of chili sauce toppled over and rolled far across the metal floor. Snuffling sounds followed. The ape lizard seemed fascinated by the red-lidded sealed jar. Brief silence descended. Then an enraged shriek exploded through the air. Well, it had most likely taken a bite of the chili sauce. Sanity -1. Current sanity, 68/100. Mopping cold sweat off his forehead, Li Hao opened the global chat channel. Help! Something has been hammering my porthole for 10 minutes. I dare not turn on any lights. A snake with bat-like wings broke into my airship. It's hanging from the ceiling staring right at me. It won't move, just keep staring. We've locked eyes for 20 whole minutes. I'm going insane. 20 minutes staring, and you didn't attack it? Attack? Do you know how strong Void Kaiju are? Some guy shot one with a crossbow just now. Bolts bounced off its scales like tickles. The Void Kaiju spun around and bit his arm clean off. That guy is screaming for help in chat right now, covered in blood. There are no medics, no hospitals. Nobody can help him. Don't do anything reckless. Absolutely do not fight. Another survivor picked a fight against a Void Kaiju. He killed it in the end, but sustained terrible injuries. Severe wounds hundreds of meters above the clouds equal a slow, painful death. Mark my words. Never engage Void Kaiju unless you possess overwhelming firepower. So what? Just let it rob us. Exactly. Let it take what it wants. Once full, it leaves. Your life matters more than rations. Staying alive beats everything. Barricade yourself inside the cockpit and stay quiet. They mostly only loot food. They will not attack unless provoked. Li Hao's frown deepened as he scrolled through flood of advice. He understood perfectly. Every survivor aboard their airship was alone. Without doctors or medicine, even minor wounds could turn fatal from infection. Logically speaking, the safest choice was hiding inside the cockpit and waiting for the ape lizard to finish eating and depart. Yet hot frustration burned inside Li Hao. This was only day one of the game. Day one. And he was already trapped inside a cockpit by a lizard, scarcely daring to breathe? What about tomorrow? The day after tomorrow? What if he met far deadlier Void Kaiju? What if genuine disaster struck? Keep hiding every single time? Could mere hiding keep him alive? Hide until death? Li Hao recalled the system opening announcement. Do not look back. Keep moving forward. Constant evasion would only spare him once, not forever. These endless skies would show no mercy just because he surrendered. If I want to survive and stay ahead, I must take the initiative. The first person to try something risky might not die. Yet those who never dare try will starve for certain. Li Hao took a deep breath. He stood and leaned back up to the viewport. The ape lizard was still ransacking the cabin. Most cabinet supplies lay scattered across the floor. Several packs of instant noodles were crushed, and ham sausages littered everywhere. The beast showed far less interest in processed food than in compressed biscuits, snuffling through piles of torn-open cardboard boxes. Then Li Hao spotted his baseball bat. It lay barely 3 meters outside the cockpit door, half buried amid scattered debris. That's my most powerful melee weapon aboard this airship. A gas stove would deal more damage, but igniting it would blow me and this whole airship sky high. Li Hao's hand rested on the latch. He breathed deeply several times, steadying his nerves. Now was his chance. Li Hao threw the latch open, burst through the doorway, covered the 3-meter gap in one long stride, bent down, and firmly gripped the wooden bat handle. And then, a shadow loomed overhead. Hiss hiss. The ape lizard had never wandered far. It had been lying in wait all along, its tail tapping excitedly against the metal floor. Li Hao lifted his head and caught the glint of cunning in its scaled face. An 8-year-old's intelligence was more than enough to pull off a trick like feigning retreat. Its jaws gaped wide, lunging down to bite. There was no time to dodge. Instinctively, Li Hao held the baseball bat horizontally before his body. Crack! Sharp, dense fangs sank deep into the wooden handle. Teeth pierced the varnish, bit through the outer hardwood and sank into the solid inner wood core. Cracks spiderwebbed outwards from the bite mark, tiny splinters bursting off the white ash wood. Li Hao shuddered at the thought. If those jaws clamped onto my bones, they would shatter instantly. Sanity -19. Current sanity, 49/100. Warning, sanity below 50. Mild hallucinations may occur. Li Hao's pupils constricted violently. He had mentally steeled himself, yet witnessing a solid wooden bat nearly snapped in two filled him with terror far beyond listening to noises behind a locked door. His sanity plummeted like bleeding health points. The ape lizard released its bite and stepped backwards, tilting its head as it studied Li Hao. It made no rush to strike. Amusement glinted within its vertical pupils, much like a cat toying with cornered prey. Its tail swayed slowly behind its body. Tap, tap. The ape lizard circled Li Hao counterclockwise, one full rotation, then another. Li Hao had to keep turning to face it. Every single time he tried edging back toward the cockpit, the ape lizard would slide sideways to block his retreat path. Little by little, Li Hao was forced backward until his back pressed against cold steel wall. No escape remained. The ape lizard halted, head tilted, jaws slightly parted, tongue flickering in the air. It was utterly unhurried. This two-legged prey had nowhere left to run, and it possessed all the time in the world to enjoy the hunt. Faint, translucent phantoms flickered at the edges of Li Hao's vision. The penalties for low sanity were kicking in. At this critical moment, his adaptation talent activated once again. Pale golden warmth welled from Li Hao's forehead. Wherever the warmth spread, his rigid muscles relaxed. His ragged breathing stabilized bit by bit. His shaking hands tightened into firm grips. Primal instincts buried deep within Li Hao's genes awakened. Instinct older than memory, encoded inside DNA. Instinct forged from millions of years of evolution, passed down from the very first apes to walk upright across African grasslands. Countless generations of ancestors' life-or-death combat experience compressed within spiral strands of genetic code, never lost, merely dormant beneath civilized urban life. Now it awoke. Li Hao slowly lifted his head. His gaze shifted completely. No longer was he a terrified young man trembling with fear. He was a cornered beast ready to lash back. His heart hammered fast yet steady, pumping blood and oxygen efficiently for what came next. His breathing remained heavy, yet every breath filled his lungs fully, building power for his coming outburst. Hiss dash! The ape lizard stopped swaying its tail. It sensed the change. The two-legged creature's scent, posture, and eyes had all transformed. Moments ago he had been shaking prey. Now he stood deathly still, so quiet that primal unease stirred within the monster's instincts. It tilted its head, genuine confusion flickering in its vertical pupils. Li Hao gave it no time to think. His brain raced far faster than normal, discarding every flawed plan. Use items? The baseball bat had proven incapable of withstanding one bite. Use terrain? He was trapped against a wall. Psychological tricks? Smart as it was, a lizard could not be fooled by words. One broken idea after another was discarded and replaced. His gaze swept across the jumbled pile of supplies scattered across the far side of the cabin. Compressed biscuits, ham sausages, mineral water, a Zippo lighter, a Swiss Army knife, a high-power flashlight, an entrenching tool. Everything lay strewn across the floor, tossed around by the ape lizard. I can win this. Equivalent exchange. He still possessed his overpowered talent. Li Hao moved. Instead of charging straight toward the supplies, he feinted left, pretending he intended to dash for the cockpit. Predictably, the ape lizard shifted left to block his escape. Before his foot landed, Li Hao reversed momentum. Pushing hard off the metal wall, he slipped through the narrow gap between the ape lizard and the storage lockers. He reached the disordered pile of supplies. Bending low, he stretched out his hand and closed fingers around an object on the floor. Hiss! The ape lizard screeched. Realizing it had been tricked, it pushed hard against the floor, tail lashing. Its whole body shot forward like a cannonball. Li Hao did not look back. His fingers closed firmly around the object, and he spun around. The final sight the ape lizard saw was a black metal muzzle aimed squarely at its face. Then bright flame flared. Bang! The gunshot boomed inside the cramped metal cabin, louder than the thunderstorm from the night before. Recoil slammed against Li Hao's wrist. The ape lizard's head snapped violently backward. A fresh hole burst open dead center on its forehead. Dark red blood and shattered scales splattered all over the steel wall behind it. Thud! Its body hung suspended midair for a split second, then crashed down like a broken marionette. Its tail twitched spasmodically, claws scraping white streaks across the metal floor before it finally went still. Li Hao kept moving. He stepped over the fallen monster and fired 2 more rounds directly into its head. Then one shot into its chest. Bang, bang, bang. Spent cartridges clattered across the floor, rolling loudly through the silence. Only then did Li Hao glance down at the life-saving weapon in his hands. A pistol. Matte black metal felt heavy and solid in his grip. Anti-slip grooves lined the handle, and its frame was compact and streamlined. The system panel unfolded in his sight. Name, Jester's Surprise Pistol. Quality, fine. Effect, random transformation. 7-round maximum capacity. 1 bullet regenerates every 3 hours. Upon striking a target, each bullet instantly transforms into a random projectile type on impact. May become miniature rockets, corrosive liquid rounds, taser shots, smoke shells, rubber bullets, flashbang shells, incendiary rounds, or even a harmless daisy flower. Transformation results are completely random and cannot be controlled by the wielder. Every shot is a gamble. Note, a daisy does not equal complete failure. Few creatures stay composed after getting shot and seeing a flower bloom out of their own bodies. Source, equivalent exchange. Traded 4 Guanshan Yuan compressed biscuits, 6 Shuanghui king-size sausages, 2 Nongfu spring mineral water bottles, 5 Fu Ling preserved mustard tubers, plus assorted personal belongings. Li Hao glanced down at the bullet hole in the ape lizard's forehead. No rocket blast marks, no scorch burns. Crushed daisy petals drifted gently out from the wound. The random effects had favored him just now. Favorable enough to kill the beast. Li Hao holstered the pistol at his waist, stepped past the corpse, and pulled shut the cabin door that had been letting in frigid wind. The latch clicked. Silence fell over everything. Staring down at the ape lizard's body and then his pistol, Li Hao let out a short laugh. Sorry, times have changed. Nothing disturbed the rest of the night. Yet Li Hao had remained taut with tension after the fight. Sleep eluded him, tossing and turning restlessly. When morning arrived, Li Hao sat atop a wooden crate chewing biscuits, gazing down at the ape lizard's corpse on the floor. He debated his next move. Sell the corpse to desperate fellow survivors, or keep it to upgrade his gear once equivalent exchange leveled up tomorrow. A system-wide announcement chimed. Global announcement. Air Islands lie straight ahead. Air Islands hold abundant resources, yet are fraught with danger. Proceed with caution. Shelter beneath an air island to avoid thunderstorm damage. Li Hao steered his airship in search of the floating island. Bored, he picked up his dark green Void Kaiju fishing rod once more. He held it out past the porthole and dipped its tip into cloud layers. The rod tip dipped downwards. Moments later, the fishing line pulled taut. Already a bite? Am I getting beginner's luck? Li Hao reeled in his line. A palm-sized fish dangled from the hook. Pale blue scales glowed with faint luminescence. Cloudlight scaled fish. Species, Skydrifter Void Kaiju. Quality, common. Edible, yes. Description, the most common low-altitude sky fish. Named for pale blue bioluminescent scales. Small-bodied, crisp, tender flesh carrying natural mild salt-sweet flavor. Safe eaten raw or cooked. Known among sky drifters as sky sardines. Note, its glow is non-toxic. Do not be afraid. Li Hao unhooked the fish. Does this fish need to stay submerged in water? After a moment's thought, he dropped it into an empty compartment inside one storage crate. If it could swim through open sky, it probably survived fine without water. Plop. He cast his line again. The rod bent under a heavier pull this time. Li Hao put strength into his arms and hauled his catch aboard. Warrior brand rain boot, left foot only. Category, daily use item. Quality, common. Equipable, yes. Description, classic domestic rubber boot. Waterproof, slip-resistant, and highly durable. Exceptionally practical in perpetually damp sky environments. Unfortunately, only the left boot, the right one, is lost somewhere. Note, wearing one rain boot is far less shameful than soaking both feet when you could have kept one dry. Li Hao turned the boot over in his hands and decided not throw it away. Maybe somebody else will fish up the matching right boot. I could sell this to them. If not, I can feed it into equivalent exchange to upgrade something else. Every little scrap counts. His rod tugged once more. For the next half hour, his Void Kaiju rod hauled up one odd item after another. A pair of bamboo chopsticks, a chipped enamel mug, a heavily rusted fishing spear, a broken glass shard printed with Tsingtao beer, one intact small hand mirror. Truly hopeless. People littered in oceans, and apparently they littered across the sky too. Li Hao kept usable finds and tossed completely worthless rubbish back into the cloud sea, muttering quietly. So this is daily life for sky fishermen? He cleaned his freshly caught cloudlight fish with a knife and sliced it thin. Without soy sauce or wasabi, he dipped slices in chili oil from his jar and ate them raw. The flesh was surprisingly crisp with natural salty sweetness, far tastier than anticipated. This sashimi would drive Chaos Han food lovers crazy. Li Hao wrapped leftover fish slices inside waterproof cloth and stowed them in storage. He added rice and water to his pot and cooked plain congee, finishing his meal with pickled mustard tuber, and sliced canned luncheon meat. After eating, he leaned back against the helm's metal chair and skimmed the global chat channel. Mood among survivors felt calmer than yesterday. No one panicked over trivial supplies, yet heavy unease hung over all conversations. Outside the porthole, endless cloud ocean stretched on unchanged. Vast sheets of white cloud rolled all the way to the horizon. Occasional cloud mounds jutted upward, slanted morning sunlight gilding them soft gold. Li Hao adjusted the steering wheel to a comfortable angle, chewing white rabbit cream candies and watching cloud lines ahead. Dangers aside, the scenery in this sky survival world is magnificent. Sailing solo through endless sea of clouds, chasing sunrise and sunset. The sun drifted from his left, past dead ahead, then moved to his right. Li Hao glanced at the dashboard timer. Almost 5 hours had passed. Far across the cloud horizon, a darker silhouette rose slowly above white clouds. A floating island. Finally, Li Hao sat upright, tightened his grip on the helm, and guided his airship toward the landmass. As distance closed, details grew clearer. It was a medium-sized island, several kilometers across. Dark gray bedrock formed its underside, jagged rock edges sloping downwards. Every so often loose fragments broke off and fell soundlessly into endless cloud below. Dense, low-growing green vegetation covered the island's surface. Faint reddish glints peeked through foliage. Yet, several airships already hovered near the island rim. Others got here first. Complications ahead. Exploring this island means high odds of running into those people. Li Hao had no wish to harm strangers unprovoked, yet he trusted no one else to share that mindset. Human betrayal happened even back on Earth. In this resource-scarce world where death waited around every corner, risk only grew higher. If I skip this island, I might spend another 5+ hours searching for the next one. And who says the next island won't already have people there too? Li Hao resolved to investigate this island. He refused to moor carelessly beside the cluster of other vessels. 200-odd meters out, he retracted his airship's dragon-shaped wings and glided toward the far side of the island, halting above a flat rocky ledge. He fired grappling anchors deep into rock fissures to lock his airship in place, then returned inside to make field preparations. He tucked Jester's surprise pistol at his waist and confirmed it was fully loaded. He tested his half-broken baseball bat. The ape lizard's bite had snapped part of the shaft, leaving a jagged, sharp, splintered tip. Shorter now, it made a serviceable close-quarters bludgeon. Li Hao slipped his Swiss Army knife into a pocket, clipped the torch onto his belt, stowed pepper spray inside another pocket, hung binoculars around his neck. He rolled several packs of compressed biscuits and 2 bottles of mineral water inside waterproof nylon cloth, and stuffed everything inside a backpack looted from an airdrop crate. Shouldering the backpack, Li Hao stood before the cabin door and drew a deep breath. First, he circled halfway around the floating island, cruising past each anchored airship. None had crew aboard. He double-checked his own vessel. Cabin doors and portholes were firmly locked. Storage cabinet doors were tied shut with rope. He remembered system rules clearly. Survivors could not break into other people's airships without owner consent, but only if doors and windows stayed closed. Chat logs were full of stories about thieves sneaking through unlocked windows. Everything ready. Li Hao stepped onto the airship's boarding ledge and jumped down onto the floating island's rocky surface. He advanced slowly, scanning every detail of his surroundings, already mentally cataloging potential resources the island might provide. The trees on the island are fairly thick-grown. Their trunks look thick and sturdy, good for trade goods or repairing airships. The island is dotted with small puddles and pools filled with strange palored water. That is definitely not safe to drink. Still, there might be clean water somewhere, or at least sources we can filter and purify. No obvious fruit hangs from the trees, yet signs of many plants and small animals can be found in the woods. At worst, we can hunt a few creatures to stock up on protein. After walking for roughly 10 minutes, the trees thinned, revealing an open expanse of stone ground. From a distance, Li Hao spotted 3 people sitting on the stony ground. 2 men and 1 woman. A bald man leaned against a protruding rock, his head hanging down and hands resting loosely over his knees. A blonde-haired man lay flat on the stone slabs, one arm draped over his eyes. The girl with twin ponytails sat hunched atop a slightly higher boulder. Her hair fell messily over her shoulders. Her fingers picked absently at a crack in the rock while her empty gaze fixed on the palored puddles ahead. Li Hao halted and studied them from 20 to 30 meters away. A system panel popped up automatically, displaying 3 green names floating above their heads. Green meant survivors. Li Hao let out a quiet breath of relief, yet kept his hand resting at his waist. He held no malicious intent, but caution was necessary. The three on the stone ground noticed Li Hao too. They exchanged quick glances, muttered a few words to one another, then stood, brushed dust off their clothes, and walked toward him. The blonde-haired man led the way and smiled at Li Hao. "Buddy, are you here to explore this island as well?" The bald man moved to Li Hao's right, hands tucked in his pockets. He said nothing, only casting occasional sidelong glances at the blonde man with a faint frown. The twin ponytail girl lagged behind. She stared at the ground, twisting her hands together. Her shoes scraped against stone with soft scratching sounds as she walked. Li Hao took in every detail of their demeanors. One was overly eager, one forcing composure, and the last so nervous she dared not lift her head. He doubted they meant well. Back on Earth, Li Hao would have kept far away. But this was a different situation. Li Hao brushed his fingers over the cold grip of the pistol at his waist and glanced at their empty hands. "Yes, I'm here to explore." The blonde man's eyes lit up. "Perfect. So are we. Why don't we team up and head deeper together? This island feels eerie, and safety comes in numbers." The bald man coughed sharply and shot the blonde man a sharp warning glare. Li Hao nodded openly. "Sure, let's go together." Delighted, the blonde man smiled broadly and turned to lead onward. The bald man ground his teeth, but followed along. The twin ponytail girl glanced quickly at Li Hao, then dropped her gaze again. The group advanced toward the center of the floating island. Further inward, woodland grew sparser. Paler puddles multiplied, expanding from faint damp patches into large pools. Their color deepened from pale red to dark scarlet. Li Hao slowed his pace. He watched bubbles rise from the pool bottoms. Each bubble burst across the surface, spreading dark red ripples outward. These pools keep growing stranger. We should not keep heading toward the island's center. Are these three controlled by something? Or are they simply oblivious? Li Hao studied them and reached a conclusion. They were simply foolish. The bald man and blonde man kept up casual conversation. "This forest is quite large. I wonder if there are fruit-bearing trees. There must be, on an island this size. Once we find some fruit, we can save it and eat for days. Look at that colored water over there. It could be mineral-rich, maybe usable for dye. Can you dye cloth?" "No, but I could learn." They chatted casually, as if strolling through a park. From time to time, the twin ponytail girl added soft-voiced agreement. Though pretending to be absorbed in their talk, whenever Li Hao slowed his steps, the blonde man stole sidelong looks and tried drawing him into conversation. "What do you think, buddy?" Li Hao stopped walking. "Buddy." The blonde man spun around with a smile. "Why have you stopped?" "We are nearly there." The twin ponytail girl stepped closer, hands behind her back. "Yes, just a short walk more." Li Hao said nothing and simply observed them. Standing furthest back, the bald man watched the blonde man's over-enthusiastic performance and the girl's forced friendliness. He raised one hand and smacked his own forehead, covering his face. A long sigh escaped between his fingers. He lowered his hands and dropped all pretense. He rolled his neck, producing sharp cracking sounds, and cracked his knuckles. All traces of fake amiability vanished from his face, replaced by cold hardness. "You figured it out, haven't you?" the bald man said. Li Hao gave no answer. "It makes no difference even if you have," the bald man sneered. "You have come this far. You will keep moving forward. Cooperate, and things will go smoothly for everyone." Li Hao showed none of the panic the bald man expected. He barely shifted posture and glanced toward the blonde man beside him. "What lies at the center of this floating island?" The blonde man froze, caught off guard by this reaction. Normally, a lone traveler cornered out in the wild would either panic or resist. Li Hao did neither. Instead, he asked a question, as if holding all control. The reversal unsettled him. "Quit asking questions," the blonde man snapped. "Just keep walking and obey." Losing patience, the bald man reached behind his waist and pulled out a metal baton. With a sharp snap, the telescopic rod extended fully. He advanced slowly toward Li Hao. Li Hao drew his pistol. The bald man paused briefly. Recognizing the gun model, he smirked. Firearms were not unheard of in this survival game. Some players obtained them from airdrops. Ammunition, however, was far rarer. Most guns came with merely 3 to 5 rounds and became useless once spent. He doubted Li Hao possessed usable ammunition. "Is that a toy gun?" The bald man scoffed and stepped forward again. "Stop putting on an act." Bang! The gunshot echoed through the sparse woods, startling birds in the distance. The bald man froze. His baton nearly slipped from his grasp. The blonde man and twin ponytail girl both stepped backward, faces drained of color. "That is a real gun." Then they saw white and pale pink daisy petals drift down onto the bald man's chest, glistening as if damp with dew. His clothes and skin remained completely unharmed. He stared at the petals for 1 second before bursting into loud laughter. "Ha ha! Exactly as I thought. A toy gun. Are you joking? Shooting flowers at me. Should I expect you to sing happy birthday next? The blonde man recovered from shock and grinned maliciously. The twin ponytail girl broke into shrill, mocking laughter. Finished laughing, the bald man tightened his grip on the baton and strode forward. Enough of your tricks. One shot gives flowers. Will the next shoot bubbles? Oh, bet. Bang. The second shot rang out. The bald man looked down to see a fresh hole torn in his chest. No petals this time. The wound's edges blackened and bubbled, releasing sharp, acrid fumes. Concentrated acid burned through fabric and flesh, and green smoke billowed out of the injury. Joker's surprise pistol, sulfuric acid round. The bald man's eyes bulged wide. He tried to speak, yet only dark red foam gurgled up his throat. He collapsed onto the ground. Clatter. The baton fell and rolled to the blond man's feet. He made no move to pick it up. His whole body trembled. The twin ponytail girl sank onto the ground, hands clamped over her mouth. Tears streamed down her cheeks, smudging her eyeliner into dark streaks. Li Hao ignored the scene on the ground. Slowly, he leveled the pistol toward the blond man's chest. I do not wish to kill, but I will defend myself without hesitation when others intend to harm me. Now tell me what is at the center of this island. Thud. The blond man dropped to his knees. I will talk. I will tell you everything. Please do not shoot, he begged repeatedly. Li Hao kept the gun aimed steadily at him. Panting heavily, sweat dripping onto the ground, the blond man spoke in a stammering rush. At the center of this floating island lies a huge blood pool. All the red liquid in these outer puddles overflows from it. We do not know exactly what that substance is. 5 of us came here to explore. When we reached the blood pool, we spotted a stone altar at its center, holding a parchment scroll. We assumed it was a precious rare item. We tried wading across to retrieve it. Something hidden in the pool dragged our first teammate under before he went far. He vanished instantly without a trace. Terrified, we turned and ran. Another of our group was pulled down as we fled. Only the 3 of us escaped. We had planned never to return until we met you out here. We hoped to use an extra person as bait to distract whatever dwells within the pool so we could grab the parchment and escape. His voice trailed off. Li Hao looked toward the twin ponytail girl. She nodded frantically. Everything he said is true. Li Hao stayed silent for several seconds. You arrived aboard an airship, correct? Confused by the question, the blond man nodded. Why not lower someone from above? The blond man blinked, failing to follow. You have an airship, Li Hao explained patiently. Fly over the blood pool, hover directly above the altar, lower a person with rope to take the parchment, then pull them back up. Their feet never need touch that liquid. Why wade through it? Both the blond man and the twin ponytail girl stared blankly, realizing how simple that solution had been. Shaking his head, Li Hao sighed. They were foolish people willing to commit misdeeds. Stand up, Li Hao ordered. Scrambling to their feet, they kept their heads bowed. Follow me back to the airship. Back aboard the steam-powered airship hovering beside the island, Li Hao opened a storage locker and pulled out 2 spools of nylon climbing rope looted from an airdrop. He secured one end firmly to a heavy-duty steel beam beneath the hull with a sailor's knot, giving it hard tugs to confirm it held fast. He tossed the other ends to the blonde man and the girl. Loop these around your waists and tie tight. Holding the rope, the twin ponytail girl hesitated. She tossed her hair back and spoke in a deliberately sweet tone. Must I wear the rope? I can cooperate fully with whatever you ask of me. Li Hao stared at her flat-faced for a moment. Stop overestimating your appeal. Secure the rope. Her face flushed deep red. She dared not argue, for Li Hao had drawn the Joker's surprise pistol and pointed it in her direction. Her expression shifted instantly from anger to fear, then to a painful, forced smile. She quickly looped rope around her waist and tied a firm knot. I am ready. Li Hao holstered his pistol and stepped into the cockpit, gripping the steering wheel. The steam engine rumbled to life. He kept the wing-like plates retracted inside steel compartments. Short-range travel required no deployment, and he saw no reason to reveal them to the 2 fools. The airship rose slowly, gliding above reddish treetops toward the island's center. From above, the blood pool was even larger than described. Nearly circular, 4 to 500 meters across, it sat within a hollow at the island's heart. Thick scarlet liquid roiled like boiling plasma. Large bubbles swelled on the surface, burst, and sent fine threads of fluid arcing through the air before dripping back down. A stone altar stood on a small islet right in the middle of the pool, the parchment resting plainly on top. Li Hao held the airship steady directly overhead and adjusted altitude, lowering the 2 suspended people until they could just reach the scroll. The blonde-haired man trembled, looking down. Grab it, Li Hao called out through the side cockpit window. Biting his lip, The blonde man leaned down, seized one corner of the parchment, and pulled it free. A dull sucking sound echoed across the pool, as if something deep beneath stirred in anger. Dark red ripples spread outward, sloshing thick liquid against the pool's rocky rim. I have it. Pull me up quickly. Whatever lives in the pool tried to get me, he shouted, clutching the parchment. Li Hao pulled the levers. The airship climbed away from the blood pool and descended gently onto dry stone ground at the island's edge. Released, the two collapsed onto stone, gasping for breath, forgetting to untie their ropes. Li Hao knelt down, took the parchment from the blonde man, and unrolled it. Tier 2 Airship Upgrade Blueprint Rarity. Rare description. Contains complete technical instructions for upgrading a basic steam airship to Tier 2. Upgrades strengthen hull structure, increase load capacity, and add basic weapon mounting points. Materials required for upgrade. Refined steel times 300, high-quality timber times 400. A faint smile crossed Li Hao's lips. His current basic 2 steam airship had been mocked by the system as an F-grade metal coffin. Tier 2 upgrades would greatly improve structural strength and carrying capacity. He wondered whether its integrated wing plates would also improve. The smile faded quickly as he considered material shortages. 300 units of steel and 400 units of timber. Timber seemed achievable. His earlier island reconnaissance showed plenty of trees that could supply enough. But where would he obtain 300 units of refined steel? He could not dismantle his own airship. Li Hao stored the blueprint inside his system inventory. He looked past the red-tinged puddles and sparse woodland towards several airships hovering near the island shore. The 5-member group lost 3 people here. Their abandoned airships should now be unclaimed. I can salvage them for materials. He walked over and placed a hand on one airship. A system panel opened before his eyes. Unclaimed airship detected. Original owners deceased. Ownership revoked. Proceed with salvage. Salvage recovers all usable materials and supplies. The airship will be completely destroyed and cannot be restored. Confirm salvage? Li Hao confirmed without hesitation. Salvage complete. Gained. Refined steel times 52. Copper pipe times 4. Iron bolt times 18. Steam pipe times 2. Basic fuel times 3. Compressed biscuit times 2. Mineral water times 1. He moved to the second vessel. Salvage complete. Gained. Refined steel times 31. Reinforced iron plate times 6. Nylon rope times 2. Combustion furnace times 1. Basic fuel times 5. Military ration times 1. The third craft was a wooden-hulled flying machine, yielding mostly timber and little metal. Salvage complete. Gained. Refined steel times 18. High-quality timber times 22. Light plank times 8. Propeller blade times 1. Basic fuel times 2. Dried fish times 3. Li Hao mentally tallied his gains. Total refined steel reached 101 units. Adding leftover scrap stored aboard his own ship brought the total to barely 120. He remained far short of his goal. While Li Hao thought about how to fill the gap, soft footsteps drew near. The blonde-haired man and the twin ponytail girl crept forward nervously. Sir, we helped you retrieve the blueprint. Can we leave now? We swear we will never bother you again. The girl nodded vigorously beside him. Li Hao turned toward them and fell silent for a moment before giving a faint smile. Leave? I never said you could go. The blonde man's face turned deathly pale. The girl's lips began trembling. Expecting to be killed, they froze. Instead, Li Hao fetched a rusted harpoon and an entrenching tool from his airship and handed them to the blonde-haired man. He also pulled out work gloves and Swiss Army knives looted from airdrops and gave them to the girl. Over there. Li Hao gestured toward the woodland. Cut down trees. Use whatever tools you have, axes, knives, even bare-handed effort. Process the timber into high-quality planks, stack them neatly, and carry them over here. Staring at his new tools, then toward the forest, the blonde-haired man wanted to protest, yet swallowed his words. Li Hao had seated himself on a flat rock at the island's edge. He pulled out his dark green Void Kuan fishing rod and cast its tip out over the endless sea of clouds. He clearly intended to stay and supervise. Do you understand? Li Hao spoke without turning his head. Yes. Both replied at once and hurried toward the nearest trees. Li Hao sat with his legs dangling over the endless cloud expanse, listening to the constant thuds of chopping behind him. He thought to himself, there are enough trees on this island to hit the 400-unit timber requirement. For steel, I will trade with other survivors through the global chat channel. I still had plenty of airdrop supplies stored aboard my airship. I'd just salvaged 3 more airships, and the blonde-haired guy and the girl with twin ponytails had been hard at work felling trees to stockpile lumber. I should have enough to trade for 300 units of steel. The fishing rod tip dipped. Li Hao reeled in his line. His catch was nothing short of bizarre. It was a round, palm-sized sphere covered in dense tiny pores, looking like some hybrid between a plant fruit and a sponge. Cloud sponge fruit type. Cloud-dwelling floating flora quality. Common edible. No description. A spherical plant drifting in the mid-cloud layers. Its hollow interior holds helium gas to maintain buoyancy. When ripe, it constantly releases fine pale yellow spore dust. The spores are non-toxic, yet inhaling them triggers violent sneezing. A dozen fits in a row. Note: not everything that floats is meant to be eaten. Li Hao tossed it onto his pile of miscellaneous salvage. Items like this made fine material for equivalent exchange. He cast his line once more. What he hauled up next made him freeze. Was that a snake? If you could call a long, striped creature covered in feathers and 4 limbs a snake. Slender-bodied, it bore fine pale green plumage. 4 tiny clawed limbs were tucked beneath its torso, and its tail ended in a fluffy tuft. It looked like some unnatural fusion of snake, chicken, and lizard. Feather-scaled lizard serpent type. Cloud-dwelling wraith beast quality. Common aggression level. Low edible. Yes description. A small tree-dwelling wraith beast covered in fine soft plumage. Its 4 limbs have suction pads that let it crawl across smooth cloud surfaces. When startled, it puffs itself up to twice its original size, letting out low cooing noises to scare off predators. Its meat is somewhat tough, excellent braised, said to taste somewhere between chicken and rabbit. Note: wear gloves when plucking its feathers, or you will spend ages picking sticky fuzz off your hands. Li Hao thought it over and decided to keep it. Braised lizard serpent sounded far better than ration biscuits. The sound of axework still echoed behind him. The blonde-haired man had stripped off his jacket, shirtless as he swung his entrenching tool, every blow accompanied by a heavy grunt. Half his hair had slipped loose from the girl's twin ponytails, one ponytail askew by her ear, as she hacked away at bark with a Swiss Army knife. Neither dared slack off. The figure fishing at the island's edge might turn around at any second, the outline of a holstered gun glinting faintly in sunlight. Leaning comfortably against a boulder, Li Hao cast his rod again. Far off, cloud seas rolled, sunlight painting rippling silver highlights across their surface. Li Hao narrowed his eyes at the rod tip, savoring the moment. The chopping and gasping behind him formed his background soundtrack. Now and then came the blonde man's quiet complaint. Why are these trees so rock-hard? Followed by the girl's tear-strained reply. Hurry up and stop talking. I just want to rest. Li Hao felt little sympathy for them. Only a fool would pity people who had tried to kill him. The next day, Li Hao sat on the airship's edge, holding a mug of Nescafé brewed in a thermos. Steam curled gently into the morning breeze. He blew across the rim and sipped. Bittersweet flavor spread across his tongue, and he sighed in satisfaction. Survival games can be pretty decent after all. Sharp intakes of breath sounded behind him. The blonde-haired man lay on the ground, his palms raw and blistered. The girl's twin ponytail hairstyle was completely ruined, her hair matted like a bird's nest. Between them lay a towering mountain of lumber. Li Hao stood, coffee still in hand, and walked over to count the stockpile. Numbers flickered across his system display. Plus 17 lumber, plus 62 lumber, plus 184 lumber current lumber reserve. 826 units. Li Hao raised an eyebrow. Those 2 free laborers had truly delivered. Once dense woodland now stood reduced to bare stumps. Pale red puddles mirrored the empty sky overhead. Returning to the airship cockpit, Li Hao opened the global chat channel and typed. Selling high-grade lumber, large stock available. Trading for steel. DM me with offers. Limited stock, first come first served. Brief silence descended over chat, then chaos erupted. Wait, high-grade lumber? You have to cut down trees for that. Did you find a floating island? No way. Has anyone actually found one? I've been flying 2 whole days. Not so much as a rock. Buddy, how much would have you got? Li Hao uploaded a photo of the lumber pile. Hundreds of units of high-grade timber stacked neatly in a huge mound along the island edge, morning light tracing every grain. The chat exploded. Huh? Is that an entire forest? So much lumber. Did you strip every tree off a whole floating island? Boss, you need a sidekick? One who feeds himself. Ugh, just had a really bad moment. Anyone selling toilet paper? Bulk purchase. Ignoring the flood of jokes, Li Hao opened the trade interface. He split his lumber into more than a dozen batches and posted them. Within 10 minutes, the first batch sold instantly. Then the second, third, fourth. Spectators watching the chat reported live updates. 5th batch gone. 6th batch sold out. Who is snatching these? The listing vanished the instant I clicked. Boss, any lumber left? My airship desperately needs repairs. Refined steel numbers climbed steadily on his trade panel. Refined steel plus 4 refined steel plus 13 refined steel plus 26 current refined steel reserve. 314 units, that was more than enough. Closing the trade channel, Li Hao pulled out the parchment blueprint and unrolled it across the airship deck. A system notification hummed inside his head. Detected, Tier 2 Airship Upgrade Blueprint Current Vessel. Basic 2 Steam Airship Upgrade Requirements. Refined steel times 300, high-grade lumber times 400 materials requirements satisfied. Commence upgrade? Li Hao took a deep breath and confirmed. A translucent light cocoon wrapped the entire steam airship. Its keel creaked as it expanded and thickened. Steel plates rearranged themselves automatically. Rivet density doubled, pipe diameters widened, and pressure release valves increased from 2 to 4. The cockpit expanded. Iron bunks shifted to roomier positions, and whole new rows of storage lockers materialized. The most dramatic change was at the bow. Steel plating split open outwards, revealing a copper-black gun barrel slowly rising from beneath the deck. Fine shock absorption runes decorated its gun mount, and the muzzle glinted cold under sunlight. Upgrade complete. Vessel, Type 2 Steam Airship Rating. D Structural Integrity, 200/200 Armor, 120/120th Power, 30/30th New Equipment Unlocked, 76 mm Steam Naval Cannon. 76 mm Steam Naval Cannon, medium caliber naval weapon driven by high-pressure steam. Fires 76 mm high explosive or armor-piercing shells. Rate of fire, 6 rounds per minute. Effective range, 1,500 meters. Fitted with shock-absorbing gun mount reducing recoil by 40%. Note, same caliber as secondary guns on historical dreadnought warships. In aerial combat, it can pierce most Wraith Beast hides. Avoid friendly fire accidents. Stepping outside the cockpit, Li Hao looked up at the gun barrel protruding over the bow, unable to suppress a grin. D-rank. No longer was his airship an F-rank death trap. Sometime later, the blonde-haired man clambered to his feet beside the lumber pile, staring open-mouthed at the cannon. That gun is absolutely massive. The girl with twin ponytails pushed herself upright on shaky knees, her hair a complete mess. Incredible. Li Hao patted the cold bow plating and turned toward them. The blonde man instinctively stepped backward. The girl flinched. Stammering, the blonde man spoke. "Yes, sir, your airship is upgraded. We got you the blueprint and cut down all the trees. Can we leave now?" He held up his blistered right hand and swore to the sky. "I swear I will never show up near you again. I will pilot my airship far into other cloud layers. You will never lay eyes on me." Behind him, the girl trembled, tears welling in her eyes. Should he spare them or eliminate them? Li Hao pondered. The ground rumbled beneath his feet. He fell silent, turning toward the island's center. A column of blood shot skywards, bursting straight upward from the central blood pool, at least 5-6 meters wide. It soared dozens of meters high before halting. Thick scarlet liquid swirled and reshaped mid-air, forming the blurry silhouette of a woman. No skin, no facial features. A colossal feminine form forged entirely from viscous crimson fluid. Her upper body hovered above the blood pool, her lower torso merging with its surface. Countless blood-red, tendril-like strands of hair drifted slowly in the air. Her head turned slightly, as though rousing from an ages-long slumber and studying the world. She possessed no eyes, yet Li Hao knew she was looking straight at him. Every puddle and pool across the floating island began to boil simultaneously. Bubbles gurgled everywhere. Steam coalesced into pale red mist. Scattered pools of blood flowed toward the central basin like streams returning to the ocean. As they merged with the base of the blood pillar, a flowing crimson gown formed around her lower half. The hem spilled outward across rock and open ground, creeping slowly toward the island's edge like an advancing tide. System alert. Encountering unknown entity. Target power rating exceeds current detection limits. Immediate evacuation strongly advised. Immediate evacuation strongly advised. Immediate evacuation strongly advised. A panel popped up before Li Hao. Name, Lady Crimson Species. Quality, aggression level. Edible. Description, nothing but question marks. Every single field, even whether she could be eaten, returned unknown. Li Hao's mind flickered with a random thought. I wonder what she would taste like. Still, running was the only sensible option. Staying to fight such an island-scale monster would be suicidal. He sprinted up the boarding ramp, burst through the cabin door, and seized the steering wheel. Instrument needles whirled wildly. The steam engine roared, and the airship surged forward. A split second behind him, the blonde-haired man and the girl scrambled aboard their own vessels and fled. Lady Crimson had fully awakened. The floating island began to collapse. Rock formations cracked in expanding rings outwards from the blood pool, opening bottomless fissures. Trees were ripped from the earth, surface puddles draining back into the basin. She stood at the heart of the crumbling landmass, her blood gown billowing like a storm, her tendril hair whipping through the air. Then she reached out and grabbed the blonde-haired man's airship. She crushed it like a fragile balloon. A desperate scream echoed briefly from its gondola, lasting barely 2 seconds. The airship crumpled into twisted scrap metal and was drawn into her flowing gown. Glancing backward through his side window, Li Hao gritted his teeth and kept accelerating. The girl's vessel flew less than 100 meters behind him, yet Lady Crimson was closing fast. Escape was impossible for her. "If I go down, you go down with me." Her scream tore apart by wind. Li Hao watched through his rearview mirror as she steered her airship straight toward him in a suicidal ramming attempt. Li Hao spun the steering wheel, deployed his dragon wings, and the steam engine howled. His airship carved a sharp S-curve through cloud banks. Leveling out, he throttled down to cruising speed and glanced through the rear cockpit window at the wobbling pursuing dot behind him. Li Hao gripped the cannon control lever. The bow-mounted 76mm steam cannon rotated, its shock absorption runes glowing pale blue. The barrel elevated. The auto-targeting system calculated lead. Reticles narrowed and turned solid green. Click. Li Hao pressed the firing trigger. Boom. Recoil jolted the whole airship backward. White steam billowed from the muzzle. A shell streaked through clouds, marked by faint gray smoke. By the time the girl saw the muzzle flash, it was far too late. The projectile slammed into her airship's stern propeller. "No. Please no." Another hand stretched out from the collapsing island. 5 dripping fingertips traced dark red trails through the sky, closing slowly around the plummeting craft. The girl was swallowed by surging blood. Half the floating island had collapsed, huge rock slabs sliding irrevocably down into the cloud sea abyss. The remaining half hovered unnaturally, supporting Lady Crimson as she gave chase. She moved with terrifying speed. Her gown dragged a 100-meter-wide scarlet wake across cloud tops. Every wisp it touched dyed pale red and churning. She bore straight down on Li Hao's airship. Li Hao pushed throttle to maximum. Dragon wings fully unfurled, glowing golden patterns burning like fiery veins. Steam engine and dragon wings powered together, hurling the vessel forward. Clouds split in foaming white surges before its bow. Yet Lady Crimson was faster. She drew nearer and nearer. Li Hao could make out her featureless fluid face, a gaping mouth like opening churning within the crimson mass. Sanity 13. Current sanity, 62/100. Without hesitation, Li Hao activated equivalent exchange. Reserves of onboard supplies were drawn into the steam cannon. Golden patterns spread across its mount, its barrel thickened slightly, and faint golden swirls spun deep within the muzzle. Steam naval cannon, Soul Reaper, variant quality, rare type, main cannon airship-bound ability, soul drain repeal. Upon striking a target, each shell detonates and siphons vital force, forming soul drain mist. This mist automatically homes back to the steam airship, first repairing structural integrity and armor. Surplus energy generates a temporary defensive barrier lasting 30 seconds. Restoration scales with damage inflicted. Heavier blows yield greater returns. Barrier strength caps at 50% of maximum armor value. Description: siphon power endlessly. Draining life force is the ultimate survival tactic. Note: soul drain mist cannot be blocked, dispelled, or negated by any known means. What is owed must be repaid. Boom. The shell detonated deep within Lady Crimson's fresh stump of an arm. Dense, swirling mist burst outward from the blast point. She froze for a heartbeat, staring down at her mangled limb. Vital fluid was ripped from her wound, flowing against her will. The mist streamed past her body, carrying torrents of her own substance, homing unswervingly toward the fleeing airship. The mist washed over the hull and was absorbed silently. Armor indicators crept upward across the dashboard. Armor: 121-20 soul drain barrier. 18 out of 60 temporary barrier will begin decaying after 30 seconds. Barrier absorbs incoming damage first. Li Hao stared at the golden-tinged status line, his breathing quickening. He glanced at the rearview mirror where Lady Crimson regrew her severed arm, only up to the elbow. A slow grin spread across his face. 18 barrier points from one shot. His fingers tapped lightly against the cannon lever. What would happen with several more hits? Lady Crimson halted, hovering above the half-ruined floating island, her featureless face oriented toward Li Hao. The cavity in her chest continued to mend slowly. Her severed arm had only regenerated to elbow length. Li Hao urged his dragon wings onward, putting more distance between them. Lady Crimson drifted backward across cloud tops. Her blood gown contracted, its hem receding from cloud surfaces like a retreating tide, leaving broad stretches of pale red cloud behind. Li Hao leaned back in the pilot's seat and let out a long sigh. Behind him, the clouds had returned to their usual gray-white hue. The crumbling floating island and the blood-red female apparition had vanished completely beyond the horizon. He switched the helm to autopilot, stood up, rummaged through the storage locker, and pulled out a bottle of Nongfu Spring. He twisted off the cap and drank several big gulps, then unwrapped a Dove chocolate and popped it into his mouth. Sweet. What a feeling, just being alive. Li Hao sank back into the pilot's seat and opened his system panel. Name: Li Hao. Level: LV1. Health points: 100/100. Physical condition: healthy, stamina, 64/100, moderate fatigue, sanity, 52/100, slight instability. Overall combat index: 3, talent, adaptation, your body rapidly adapts to all environments. You learn everything with greatly improved efficiency. Talent, equivalent exchange, you may sacrifice any item to enhance another item of your choosing. Enhancement quality depends on the value and quality of the sacrificed material. Air skiff, Type 2 steam air skiff rating D, structural integrity, 200/200, armor, 120/120, power source, 28/30. Dragon Wing Cruise, active, steam naval gun A Reaper, ready, cannon ammunition, high explosive, shell ×4. Resources, refined steel ×12, high quality timber ×27, basic fuel ×10, 304 stainless steel plate ×9. Nylon waterproof tarpaulin ×3 rolls, epoxy resin AB glue ×5 sets, portable workbench ×1. Food water, Master Kong braised beef instant noodles ×5, Shuanghui Wangshongwang sausage ×6, Nongfu spring mineral water ×8. Hardtack biscuits ×4, Spam style canned meat ×4, Fulling pickled mustard ×8, Dove chocolate ×3, Nestle canned coffee ×5. System items, Void Kuan fishing rod, Jester's surprise pistol. Only 4 shells left. Li Hao frowned with dissatisfaction. Though that red lady-grade Void Kuan had kept its distance after one direct cannon blast, there was no telling when more Void Kuan or rival survivors might show up for aerial combat. Naval gun shells were absolutely vital. I need to stock up. Li Hao opened the public chat channel. Compared with the non-stop wailing of the past 2 days, today's feed looked very different. Far fewer messages about hunger flooded the screen. Instead, recruitment posts, trade offers, and intelligence exchanges dominated. Order was sprouting from chaos, like the first green shoots pushing through scorched earth. Team recruitment. Iron Fist Brotherhood officially founded. Founded by former veteran Zhao Taizhu. Our 8-word motto: meet violence with violence, protect the vulnerable with our fists. 12 core members, 3 D-rated air skiffs, 2 naval guns. We welcome all bold fighters. No minimum combat rating or air skiff requirements. If you dare stand against the Void Kuan, we will fly with you. Admission requires passing a test. Either hunt 1 small-sized Void Kuan alone, or withstand 3 full blows from our guild leader without collapsing. Do not message us if you cannot meet the standard. Coordinates updated daily. DM at Zhao Taizhu. Team recruitment. Azure Sea Trading Company announcement. We do not fight, explore, or loot airdrops. Our sole business is trade. Food, building materials, ammunition, medicine, Void Kuan materials, airskiff spare parts. Bring any goods, and we have channels to move them. Open to all survivors. Buyers and sellers connect freely. The company only takes a 5% commission. Reputation-backed guarantee, 10-fold compensation for fraud. We are also hiring regional agents with generous pay. DM guild leader at Zhao Laosen for talks. Team recruitment. Garden in the Sky commune recruitment. We refuse endless bloodshed among the cloud sea. Our goal: farm crops and live self-sufficiently. We have built planting bases across 3 floating islands and successfully cultivated Azure Sea potatoes, floating island tomatoes, and cloud-top wheat. We cannot promise you weapons or ammunition, only hot meals and safe shelter. If you are tired of running and killing, come visit us. Requirements: no unprovoked conflict, willingness to work, prepared to share living quarters with others. DM at Lin Wanfeng. Comments scrolled rapidly beneath the 3 announcements. Iron Fist Brotherhood. The guild leader who punched clean through a steel plate live-streamed? Terrifying. Survive 3 punches? 1 hit would land me in intensive care. Don't hype them up. Yesterday I watched their men get chased across 3 cloud streets by a medium-sized Void Kuan and barely escaped using smoke bombs. Protect others with fists? More like run away with fists. 5% commission for Azure Sea Trading Company? That's steep. Why not trade directly? Go ahead, until you get scammed. Yesterday, someone traded 3 packs of hardtack for what was supposed to be refined steel, only to open the package and find wood painted silver. That poor soul is ranting in chat right now. Guaranteed trade is real trade. Unguaranteed trade is blind gambling. Zhao Laosan is reliable. I sold him a batch of copper tubing before. Fair price and instant payment, no delays. Garden in the Sky commune? Growing potatoes in the sky? Are you serious? I have seen Azure Sea potatoes. Commune members posted photos. They look much like Earth potatoes, except with purple skin and white flesh. Grown in floating island soil and irrigated with condensed cloud water. Sounds too good to be true. Is it some slave camp tricking people into forced labor? People who visited said good things, yet those visitors barely post in chat afterwards. Are they just busy, or something worse? I think going solo is safer, at least no one will stab you in the back. Solo safe? How many died in yesterday's thunderstorm? Solitary survivors end up eaten by Void Kuin, bones and all. Amid this flood of team-related discussion, scattered distress messages stood out sharply. Can anyone help me? My sister is injured. Her wound is infected, and she has a high fever. We have no antibiotics, no disinfectant, nothing. I will trade all my supplies for 1 dose of antibiotics. If that is not enough, I will give you my air skiff. I will send coordinates in private message to anyone willing to help. Please, another casualty from infection. That is the 3rd plea for antibiotics today. Even minor wounds can kill in this world. A man fought a Void Kuin with a harpoon and lost 2 fingers. He is streaming his own crude bandaging right now. Too graphic, I am closing chat. Since there are Void Kuin in the Cloud Sea, are there any fun-loving, playful Kuin creatures? Has anyone fished one up? Please be realistic. I used a telescope from an airdrop to observe the stars. Constellations here bear no resemblance to those on Earth. The night sky is alien. We have no home anymore. Quit the existential thinking late at night. You will lose sanity points. Go read that hardtack advertisement to cheer up. Great news. Jiangnan Leather Factory has closed down. Boss ran away with his mistress. Hardtack, originally priced at 3 packs of instant noodles, now only costs 2. Li Hao scanned the scrolling feed and sent several purchase requests looking for naval gun shells. A private message popped up quickly. You are looking for shells? Sender, Shen Qingzi. Avatar, default gray silhouette. Li Hao replied, yes. Do you have any? Possibly. How many do you want? As many as you can supply. The other party fell silent for a few seconds, then sent a new line. I do not want supplies. I want Void Kuin corpses. 3 intact Void Kuin corpses in exchange for coordinates to an abandoned ammunition depot floating island. Corpses should not be mangled, vital organs intact. Freshly killed, or even living specimens preferred. Deal only if you can deliver. Li Hao raised an eyebrow. Void Kuin corpses? That was an unusual bargaining chip. Most survivors avoided Void Kuin whenever possible. He had never met anyone actively collecting their bodies. Was this person some sort of weird enthusiast who wanted to eat Void Kuin sashimi? All right. 3 Void Kuin corpses. How will we complete the trade? You transfer the corpses to me, and I give you the coordinates. TCH. How do I know you will not cheat me? What terms do you suggest? Send me 1 item as collateral. I will travel to your given coordinates with the corpses and hand them over only once we are on site. Very well. A system prompt appeared, requesting delivery of the collateral item. The trade coordinates followed. Li Hao accepted. Lavender light flickered inside the cockpit, and a ring materialized and clattered down onto the floor. It was not made of metal, but polished bone-like material. Its face bore an engraved eye motif, its pupil a purple crystal that slowly rotated under light. Whisper ring. When worn, you hear the heartbeat of every sentient being within 10 meters. Heart rhythm reveals emotional state. Chaotic during fear, accelerated while lying, heavy with anger. Warning. Do not wear this ring around large crowds. It may drive you insane. Wow. Such a valuable early game item given straight over. Is Shen Qingzi incredibly trusting or just ridiculously well off? Li Hao turned the ring over several times, carefully stowed it inside his storage locker, and set navigation for the meeting coordinates. He walked to the side window and picked up his Void Kuin fishing rod once more. When I upgraded my naval gun using equivalent exchange, I sacrificed all my earlier Void Kuin remains. I need to catch more quickly. The rod tip dipped into cloud mist, its dark green shaft trembling faintly in his grip. 3 Void Kuin corpses was not an impossible target. With this fishing rod, patience would deliver what he needed. The rod tip jerked violently downwards. Li Hao reeled in with practiced movements. The first object breaking through cloud cover was an old umbrella. The canopy remained whole, its handle carved with the word paradise. He shook off moisture and set it aside, then cast again. Catch after strange object emerged, a rusted ship anchor, a water-damaged copy of Xinhua dictionary, a string of brass bells. One right-foot rubber boot definitely not matching the left boot he had caught previously, a fragment of floating rock carved with "I was here," and a perfectly preserved stainless steel spatula. Li Hao stored usable items. Worthless junk he kept, either to sell to other survivors or feed into equivalent exchange later. His casting movements grew smoother and more assured. This must be something huge. The rod bent sharply under immense pull, far heavier than anything before. Gritting his teeth, Li Hao cranked the reel. Clouds churned. Splash. A massive shape burst out of mist. Not another thousand-eyed jellyfish. This specimen was twice as large as previous ones. Its yoga ball-sized gelatinous body glowed pale purple under sunlight, concentric rings of countless eyes covering its surface. Mature thousand-eyed jellyfish, fully grown variant. Larger body, more eyes, notably springy texture. Warning, maintain your sanity during dissection, sanity 6. Current sanity, 61/100. Every void koan looks more grotesque than the last. Li Hao closed his eyes, stuffed the creature inside a crate, and slammed the lid shut. Thanks to his airskiff's high-speed dragon wing mode, Li Hao soon reached the meeting location. I have arrived. After a short wait, a low droning hum echoed from the horizon. An airskiff glided slowly out from cloud banks. Unlike any craft Li Hao had seen, its hull was deep purple. A curved wooden mast jutted from its bow. Stained glass skylights formed a hexagram pattern. Wind chimes and rune-inscribed cloth banners hung all over its hull, tinkling in cloud winds. The two airskiffs hovered roughly 200 meters apart. You arrived sooner than expected. Did you bring the goods? 3 complete void koan corpses. Li Hao answered. Where are the coordinates? Shin Qingzi replied. Hand over the goods first, and I will lead you there personally. Li Hao arched an eyebrow. No coordinates given up front. She intended to guide him in person. Could this be an ambush? Fine. He did not hesitate. He held plenty of advantages. Dragon Wing boost plus his naval gun let him overpower 99% of survivors. Worst case scenario, if Shin Qingzi planned treachery, he could activate Dragon Wing and flee immediately. Once equivalent exchange cooled down in a few days, he could return with vastly superior gear. Revenge could wait, but he would get it. What was more, he could perform one equivalent exchange every single day, meaning he grew stronger day by day. Trade completed. Inside Shin Qingzi's cabin, she stared eagerly at the 3 void koan specimens laid out before her. Her eyes lit up. She lifted the silver slender azure sea eel onto her dissection table. It remained alive, its needle-sharp jaws opening and closing. She pressed fingertips gently against its abdomen, tracing underlying muscle and internal organ contours, a satisfied smile tugging her lips. Intact nerve bundles. I can extract at least 12 segments of living nerve tissue. Its teeth can be ground into rune-carved piercing talismans. Its spinal vertebrae can serve as cores for 3 curse-casting wands. Far better than the half-eaten specimen I obtained last time. She placed the azure sea eel inside a sealed tank, then lifted the cloud-flying squirrel. The small, squirrel-like void koan huddled inside waterproof wrapping, its gliding membrane folded tight, round eyes wide with terror. She turned it over, inspected its undamaged flight membrane, and squeezed its ribcage thoughtfully. Perfectly intact gliding skin, large enough to sew a full glider suit with leftover material. Too timid to become my familiar, but its hide is excellent raw material. Worth the trade. Last came the thousand-eyed jellyfish inside its crate. The instant the lid opened, sanity values plummeted. Shin Qingzi quickly closed the box again with a sharp breath. Phew, no wonder you kept it boxed. That thing is genuinely revolting. She was thrilled with this batch of void koan materials. She quickly set her airskiff on autopilot to hold steady ahead of Li Hao's craft, then hurried to her workbench, grabbed surgical scalpels, and began dissection. Li Hao followed behind her, cruising leisurely forward. Before long, a floating island came into view over the horizon. This island dwarfed any he had encountered before. Its base was dark gray bedrock, edges curling upward unevenly like an outstretched giant palm covered in thick greenery. Vegetation grew wildly dense. Layer upon layer of tree canopies stacked so tightly that almost no bare ground was visible from above, endless shifting shades of green rippling under wind. Li Hao circled the island twice out of habit. He throttled down his steam engine. His airskiff skimmed above treetops. Peering through the window, thick foliage blocked nearly all sight of the ground. Only occasional jagged gray rock peeked through leaves. No obvious hostile signatures registered, yet overwhelming dense vegetation itself meant massive unknown risk. Countless threats could hide within those woods. Li Hao landed on a flat rocky ledge along the island perimeter. Anchor hooks bit firmly into rock fissures. He shut down the engine and locked all hatches. He double-checked his equipment. At his hip hung the jester's surprise pistol with a full magazine. He gripped a shortened baseball bat, its jagged broken edge glinting pale white wood fiber in sunlight. As Li Hao stepped onto island rock, Shen Qingxi's air skiff also touched down. Her deep purple craft settled on another section of the ledge. Wind chimes jingled during landing, falling silent once engines cut out. The cabin hatch opened, and Shen Qingxi descended the boarding ramp. Li Hao looked over and paused. At long distance earlier, he had only made out silhouettes. Now she stood less than 10 meters away, sunlight framing her figure with a soft golden glow. Her outfit was casual, a loose dark gray long-sleeve top, black 7/8 trousers, and slip-on slippers. Shen Qingxi halted 2 to 3 meters away. One hand rested inside her pocket. The other gestured toward the thick forest stretching inland. I explored part of this island before, though I never ventured deep inside. Small and medium-sized voidcoins swarm these woods. Too many for one person to handle alone. Deep inland, I found an old abandoned ammunition depot, not a standard system-generated airdrop. Some unknown civilization built this corroded metal sheet shelter. Its lock is already broken. No firearms remained, yet plenty of cannon shells and gunpowder were left behind. I could only carry away a small amount of gunpowder on my previous visit. Li Hao listened without immediate reply. Shen Qingxi shared extensive details, even mentioning the broken depot lock. Either every word was truthful, or she was an extremely skilled liar who prepared elaborate fine-grained fabrications. Li Hao recalled that earlier floating island encounter, with 2 men who knelt on stone claiming they only wanted to use him as bait. That incident taught him a vital lesson. In this skybound world, assume everyone is lying until facts prove otherwise. So you brought me here to help clear out Voidcoin, in return for access to those shells? He asked. Granting you access to shells is part of our agreed-upon trade. Shen Qingxi corrected him. Hunting extra Voidcoin is my own objective. I intend to gather more specimens while we are on island. Li Hao raised an eyebrow. Collecting all these corpses. What exactly do you do with them? Were you a mortician back on Earth? Shen Qingxi ignored his teasing. Her palm glowed with runic radiance. My talent follows the witch arcane path. I draw power by studying all things. Analyze structures, extract innate properties, craft witch artifacts. Voidcoin represent exceptional research material. Their body structures, organ functions, and energy circulation work completely unlike any Earth-native life form. Every new Voidcoin I analyze unlocks fresh branches of witchcraft knowledge. The glow faded. She slipped her hand back into her pocket. That is why I seek diverse, fresh Voidcoin remains. Li Hao fell quiet. This survivor world actually had witch-talented individuals. Why could I not get a fancy special class talent? Adaptation is powerful, yet I barely feel its effect day to day. Still, his wariness towards Shen Qingxi lessened. She spoke plainly, no vague evasion, openly explaining how her talent operated. Such frankness was rare among survivors. Beneath her calm expression, Shen Qingxi was busy calculating. Her witch talent sounded impressive, study all creation to wield versatile power. Yet it suffered a crippling early-game weakness. She only possessed a handful of low-level formulae. Everything she could craft was either supportive or required lengthy preparation. Nothing could instantly stop a charging Voidcoin at close quarters. The Whisper Ring given as collateral was already her finest finished artifact. Giving away her best creation was not blind trust. It created an illusion. Any survivor willing to hand over rare gear must own even greater treasures. In truth, that ring was her only masterpiece. Li Hao finally nodded. Very well, let's head in. Any Voidcoin I kill can be sold to you. Both harboring private thoughts, they stepped into woodland. Tree canopies blotted out most sunlight. The world dimmed. Thin streaks of golden sunlight filtered through leaf gaps, casting shifting dappled patches across moss-carpeted ground. Some distance behind them, out amid cloud sea, an air skiff fleet drew near. More than a dozen craft formed an arrow-shaped formation. The flagship stood significantly larger than the rest, a thick welded steel ram fixed to its bow. A hand-stitched banner flew above its deck, a black clenched fist printed on off-white cloth. This was the flagship belonging to the Iron Fist Brotherhood. The group descended onto the floating isle. Zhao Taizhu, the guild leader, stared at Li Hao's airship with a deeply furrowed brow. Someone's already here. Two airships docked on the island, one steam-powered, the other built like a wizard's spire. He spat on the ground roughly. Damn it, we got here too late. Standing beside him, Vice Guild leader Song Wenyuan pulled his lips down into a frown. Relax, Brother Zhao. Being late isn't the end of the world. This island is far too vast for any pair of people to comb through entirely. They explore their section, we take ours. It all comes down to personal skill. Courtesy based on arrival order only matters in peaceful times. This is a survival game now. There's no need for all those tedious formalities. A gaunt, sharp-featured lanky man hurried forward to back him up. This was Ma San, who ranked near the bottom in combat prowess within the Fist Brotherhood, but was universally acknowledged as the guild's best sycophant. Brother Song is exactly right. Look at our men, Brother Zhao. We've been flying since dawn, burning through fuel non-stop, and our food rations are nearly depleted. Who knows how long we'd need to fly to reach another floating isle? And any new island we find might well be claimed already. These two airships haven't lifted off, which means the island hasn't been fully scavenged, and resources are still available. Even if you don't think of yourself, think of all the guys following you. Zhao Taizhu glanced back at his crew clustered together, their eyes fixed longingly on the lush, green, floating landmass ahead. Each man bore varying cuts and bruises, their clothes stained with a messy mix of machine oil and void Kuan blood. Weariness lingered in their gazes, paired with quiet hope that Zhao Taizhu would lead them to food, usable crafting materials, and enough fuel to keep their airship airborne a while longer. Zhao Taizhu fell silent for a long moment before letting out a heavy sigh. Fine. Once we land, split into scouting teams and keep our distance from the two strangers. Don't intimidate them. If you cross paths, identify yourselves and act politely. We only gather resources. We will not seize what belongs to others. That is my non-negotiable rule as your leader. Anyone who breaks this rule will answer directly to me. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Slinging a modified repeating harpoon rifle over his back, Zhao Taizhu swept his gaze across the unfamiliar woodland. Move out. He waved a hand, and the dozen survivors split into 3 teams, advancing deep into the thick forest. Song Wenyuan brought up the rear, a faint, concealed smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. Li Hao and Shen Qingzi trekked single file through the woodland. Thick, interwoven canopy shattered sunlight into scattered, feeble beams that slanted down to illuminate patches of pale gray fungal growth coating the tree trunks. Shen Qingzi led the way, her pace noticeably slower than it had been earlier. Was it this dim the last time you came here? Li Hao followed 2 paces behind her, speaking in a hushed tone. The canopy wasn't nearly this dense before, Shen Qingzi replied without turning her head, her voice tight with tension. These trees are growing at an unnatural rate. Virtually nothing in this sky realm follows natural rules anymore. Shen Qingzi offered no response. If Li Hao had not been right behind her, she would have fled straight back to their airship. She knew full well the limits of her own sorcery capabilities. A sudden shrill rustling echoed directly above their heads. Shen Qingzi froze in her tracks and stumbled backward half a step, nearly colliding with Li Hao's chest. Before she could tilt her head upward to pinpoint the sound, a dark shape plummeted out of the canopy. The creature landed atop a moss-covered boulder, balanced on all 4 limbs in a stance halfway between a squat and a prowl. It was roughly the size of an adult macaque, its neck splitting into 3 separate stalks, each crowned with a distinct head. The left head was blind, empty black eye sockets writhing with unknown matter deep within the hollow cavities. The central head was the largest, its mouth split open all the way to its jawline, bearing rows of needle-thin, sharp fangs. The right head hung lopsidedly to one side, its facial muscles twitching continuously in a twisted mimicry of a grin. All 3 heads locked onto the pair simultaneously. 4 functional eyes plus 2 hollow sockets zeroed in on their targets without hesitation. Name: 3-headed ape fiend species, skyvoid predator Kuan tier. Common aggression level: high edible, no. Description: a social, medium-sized arboreal void Kuan mutated from primal primate life forms by the extreme atmospheric conditions of the Cloud Sea. Its extra heads are not innate traits. Each new head sprouts when the creature consumes another member of its own kind. Highly communal, they almost always hunt in packs of 3 to 5 individuals and never travel alone. Warning: avoid prolonged eye contact. These creatures are extremely sensitive to sustained stares. Shen Qingzi stiffened the instant she laid eyes on the monster. Her pupils dilated sharply, her lips moving faintly as she whispered an incantation only audible to herself. A faint violet glow flickered across her fingertips before fading away entirely. We're done for. The beast was far too close. Shen Qingxi did not even have enough space to retreat 3 steps, let alone retrieve any of her wizard artifacts. The ape fiend's muscles coiled taut, ready to pounce at any second. Yet it never lunged, because it was sent flying away instead. Li Hao stepped sideways to shield Shen Qingxi in a fluid motion. He swung the half-baseball bat gripped in his hand, the jagged, splintered wooden tip slicing cleanly into the skull above the central grinning head. The sharp splinters of white ash would pierce the creature's gray-green membranous skin and wedged into the gaps of its cranium. Bang! Li Hao shifted his grip on the bat, planted a boot firmly on the thrashing beast's torso, and drove the bat downward with brutal force, pinning the lopsided, grinning head into the mossy ground. The twisted smile faded instantly. The entire sequence unfolded in under 5 seconds. Shen Qingxi stood a pace behind him, staring down at the corpse of the 3-headed ape fiend. She exhaled a long breath before kneeling down immediately, prodding the lower jaw of the central head with her fingertip. Her earlier panic replaced by focused, eager scientific curiosity. Its bite force is twice that of a medium-sized canine, yet its jawbone is thinner than I predicted. An adaptation to reduce body weight for agile movement through trees. I've never cataloged this strain of void Kuan before, and the specimen is perfectly intact, all 3 heads preserved. She lifted her head and fixed Li Hao with a curious gaze. Your reaction speed is beyond any ordinary human's capabilities. Less than a single second passed between the creature diving down and you striking back. What line of work were you in back on Earth? Special forces? Armed police? Or some kind of silent, pragmatic private military contractor? Li Hao wiped the viscous creature residue off his bat against a nearby tree root. Just a regular office worker. A regular office worker can instantly bludgeon a 3-headed mutated primate to death with half a baseball bat in half a second. I can't fully explain it myself. Li Hao stared down at his own trembling hand wrapped around the bat. He had not consciously planned a single movement. The moment the void Kuan lunged, his body had reacted autonomously. This instinct was foreign to Li Hao. Only days prior, he had been an average commuter riding subways and buses to work each day. Now, faced with a grotesque 3-headed monster, his first instinct was not to run or scream, but to swing a bat and crush its skull. Is this the work of the adaptation talent? Li Hao muttered to himself. Shen Qingxi tilted her head in confusion. What was that? Nothing important. Li Hao brushed off her question vaguely, deep in quiet contemplation. When he first entered this survival game, he had written off adaptation as a worthless ability. A passive skill that only boosted environmental acclimation, with no damage bonuses or flashy combat effects. It had felt utterly inconsequential. But Li Hao had slowly come to understand its true function. Adaptation did not merely toughen his physique or sharpen his reflexes incrementally. It rewired his reflexive responses, judgment patterns, and entire nervous system bit by bit, molding them to align with the fundamental rules of this brutal world. Where ordinary survivors spent weeks or months adjusting to life-or-death combat rhythms, Li Hao's physiology had completed that adaptation in a matter of days. He gazed down at the dead, 3-headed ape fiend and murmured quietly, "Adaptation doesn't simply make you stronger. It makes you suitable. You take the form required to survive wherever you are placed." Shen Qingxi studied him thoughtfully and chose not to press for more answers. She stood and brushed flecks of moss off her knees. "Let's keep moving. The armory is just a short distance ahead. We can collect the Void Kuan's corpse on our way back. There's no rush right now." The two ventured deeper into the woodland. As they drew closer to the island's central region, the tree canopy gradually thinned, sunlight filtering through once more to illuminate a wide, open clearing ahead. Beneath a rock face choked with overgrown vines and pale gray fungal growth stood a small metal shed. The structure was compact, its iron plating heavily corroded, rust spreading outward from every seam like a faded burnt orange map. The shed door hung crookedly off its hinges, ajar, with a deep indentation where the lock had been smashed open from the inside. Shen Qingxi pointed excitedly toward the metal shack. "That's it, the armory I told you about." Li Hao followed her line of sight toward the shed, and his expression darkened abruptly. "Were there this many Void Kuans surrounding the armory during your last visit?" Shen Qingxi froze, scanning the surrounding woods carefully. Her complexion paled visibly within a heartbeat. Dozens of 3-headed ape fiends crouched hidden in the foliage surrounding the armory. Their gray-green forms dotted tree trunks, boulders, and tangled vines across the entire area. The numbers had multiplied exponentially compared to her previous visit. Li Hao counted no fewer than 40 of the creatures at a rough glance. Positioned closest to the metal shed loomed an abnormally large specimen, its torso twice the size of the others, bearing 5 heads sprouting from its shoulders. This can't be right. Shin Qingzi lowered her voice to a strained whisper. Only a handful inhabited this area last time I came. There's no way their population exploded this rapidly in just a few days. Did you kill several of them during your previous visit? Shin Qingzi fell silent. That explains everything. Li Hao massaged his temples slowly. Monkeys, whether native to Earth or mutated void Kuan in this realm, are capable of holding grudges. Wild macaques on a May mountain in China are notorious for retaliating against humans who harm them. These creatures likely laid siege to this spot and waited for your return to seek vengeance after you attacked their group before. What do we do now? Shin Qingzi bit her lower lip anxiously. None of her wizard artifacts could repel a horde of this scale. A reckless charge toward the armory would result in certain death long before they could retrieve the artillery shells they needed. Li Hao deliberated briefly. We retreat first. Head back to the airship to formulate a plan. Their vessel was armed with deck cannons. If the Apefians remained clustered together, concentrated cannon fire could decimate large swarms of the pack, allowing them to safely descend and harvest resources afterward. They lightened their footsteps, retracing their original path back toward the island's shoreline. The armory and the horde of Apefians faded behind the dense trees, silence settling back over the forest. They had barely reached the tree line bordering the landing zone when Li Hao halted in his tracks. A line of 8 figures blocked the path forward, arranged in a wide semicircle cutting off all access to their anchored airship. Every person was armed: harpoon rifles, pry bars, wooden clubs studded with iron nails, modified nail guns, and more. They wore mismatched leather armor and makeshift protective padding, their faces neutral at best and openly hostile at worst. The group parted down the center to make way for a single man stepping forward. A man in his early 30s, of average build, wearing an unnaturally placid smile. A bronze pin engraved with a clenched fist was fastened to his collar. He walked to the front of the formation, his gaze sweeping over Li Hao before settling steadily on Shin Qingzi, observing her features and general appearance with a neutral glance before resuming his polished, untrustworthy grin. My sincere apologies if we startled you too. Song Wenyuan cupped one hand in the other in a courteous gesture. We belong to the Iron Fist Brotherhood, and I am Song Wenyuan, the vice leader. Judging by your unfamiliar faces, you must have just arrived on this floating isle recently. We only touched down moments ago and thought we would introduce ourselves, in case mutual safety could be found in numbers. Are you two currently exploring the island? Li Hao did not respond. His peripheral vision mapped out the enemy's positioning. 2 men blocked the narrow trail leading to the rocky landing platform. 3 others secured escape routes deeper into the forest, and the remaining members stood behind Song Wenyuan. Their seemingly casual stances effectively sealed off every viable escape route. This formation was not that of a wandering scouting party seeking an alliance. It was a hunting encirclement. During the brief silence, the sharp-featured Ma Sen darted out from behind Song Wenyuan, jabbing a finger aggressively toward Li Hao's face with a shrill, sharp tone. Our vice leader is speaking to you. Don't play dumb. What resources have you uncovered on this island? Supplies? Munitions? Rare items? Or crafting blueprints? Spit out the truth, and things will go smoothly for everyone involved. Song Wenyuan frowned and shot a sharp glare at him. Ma San, watch your tone. Speak to them with basic civility. He turned back toward Li Hao with a placating smile. Forgive my subordinate's blunt manner. He only has the group's safety in mind. We spotted heavy void Kuan activity all across this island. Exploring alone is incredibly dangerous work. Share whatever discoveries you have made, and we can collaborate on further exploration, splitting all found resources fairly with equitable shares for both parties. You will not be shortchanged in any way. Masen did not take the reprimand to heart. He stepped backward with a smirk, exchanging a knowing look with 2 of the men beside him. Song Wenyuan was about to continue speaking when heavy footsteps echoed from the rear of the group, paired with a gruff, booming voice. Old Song, why did you rush ahead so quickly? I hadn't finished sweeping the eastern woodland before your entire group vanished without a trace. Zhao Taiju strode out from the trees. He wore a faded military surplus jacket with frayed cuffs, a hand-sewn embroidered iron fist emblem stitched across the chest. A modified repeating harpoon rifle rested on his back, and a tactical dagger hung from his waist belt. He pushed through the crowd and spotted Li Hao and Shin Qingzi. A sheepish, earnest smile spreading across his face immediately. So you two are the other survivors who claimed this island before our arrival? Zhao Taizhu walked forward and extended a rough, calloused hand toward Li Hao. My name is Zhao Taizhu, leader of the Iron Fist Brotherhood. I hope our sudden appearance hasn't unnerved you too. Li Hao grasped his outstretched hand briefly. His eyes tracked Zhao Taizhu's standing position. The surrounding men had stepped aside passively to let their leader through, yet the gesture felt like clearing space for an outsider, rather than deferring to their actual guild head. Song Wenyuan did not bother glancing back at Zhao Taizhu, the smile on his face faltering for a split second before hardening back into its usual practiced calm. Ma Sen twisted his head around only to check whether Zhao Taizhu had overheard their earlier conversation. Rather than greeting their leader warmly, Li Hao had pieced together the dynamic instantly. The nominal guild leader held no real authority within the faction. Song Wenyuan was the true power pulling all the strings, with Ma Sen acting as his loudmouth enforcer. Every member of the group took their cues from Song Wenyuan far more than they obeyed Zhao Taizhu's orders. Zhao Taizhu existed merely as the guild's strongest combat asset, sent into every dangerous encounter to absorb risk and take on all frontline combat duty, while all critical decision-making power rested in other hands. Worse still, he appeared completely oblivious to being sidelined, blinded by his sincere belief in the bond of brotherhood shared with his followers. Li Hao was preparing to exchange polite formalities and negotiate a peaceful retreat when Song Wenyuan spoke up once more. He advanced a single step forward, subtly positioning himself half a pace ahead of Zhao Taizhu. Guild leader, these two have spent considerable time surveying the island, so they must be familiar with local terrain patterns and void coin distribution. Splitting our large group into scattered teams will only expose our men to unnecessary danger. Why not invite them to act as our guides through the island? We will divide all recovered resources per the guild's standard allocation rules. Zhao Taizhu frowned and turned toward him. We cannot force them into this arrangement if they are unwilling. Before Zhao Taizhu could voice a firm refusal, Song Wenyuan gripped his wrist, leaning upward to whisper urgently into his ear. Li Hao caught fragmented keywords drifting over to him. Our men, long exhausting flight. No other islands nearby. Everyone is starving and low on supplies. Zhao Taizhu's demeanor shifted noticeably. He glanced back at his weary followers, all of whom stared toward him with quiet expectation. His shoulders sagged under the weight of responsibility. He turned back to Li Hao, his bright, earnest eyes clouded with awkward hesitation. Zhao Taizhu cleared his throat awkwardly. Brother, the truth is that our crew has been traveling nonstop for hours. Our fuel reserves and food supplies are running dangerously low, and this floating isle is the only viable landmass we have located within this entire Cloud Sea territory. Would you be willing to mark out resource hotspots and high-risk zones across the island for us? We will follow your lead strictly, splitting all found materials fairly to compensate you for your guidance. Our numerical advantage will also serve as reliable backup if we encounter hostile void Kuan along the way. Li Hao scoffed silently to himself internally. He had met countless men just like Zhao Taizhu throughout his school years and corporate career. Outstanding individual ability, well, liked by peers, fiercely protective of his subordinates, and loyal to the people he considers his brothers. But those very virtues were his fatal vulnerability. He regarded loyalty as his code of conduct. Whenever the expectations of his comrades clashed with his personal principles, he would fall into a state of indecision. Eventually, he would be coerced into compromises by the seemingly just yet inherently malicious logic of majority rule over the minority. Such compromises are far more troublesome than outright malice. He would convince himself that he had been forced into it, that he acted for the good of the group with no other choice. This mindset let him carry out any wrongdoing with a clear conscience. Even when disaster struck, he would be the first to step forward and take responsibility. But what good would that do? Mistakes can never be undone, and the dead will never return to life. Do these fools truly believe their shoddy weapons stand a chance against those three-headed monkey lizards? Li Hao let out a chuckle. All right then. Right in the center of this island sits a building that looks like an abandoned arms depot. A horde of void WIRMS surrounds the premises, so the two of us couldn't fight our way through and had to retreat just now. The mention of an arms depot made Song Wenyuan's eyes light up instantly. He shot a quick glance at Ma San, then turned back with an even broader, more artificial smile plastered across his face. An arms depot? That's perfect. The Iron Fist Brotherhood is desperately short of ammunition. If we can seize this place, you two will get full credit for leading us here. President, Song Wenyuan spun toward Zhao Taizhu and spoke with fiery resolve. Sir, they're willing to guide us there. I'll take a few men to lead the advance, and have the rest spread out on perimeter watch to stop the void WIRMS from ambushing us from behind. You bring the main forces back up to intervene if anything goes wrong. Zhao Taizhu hesitated, plagued by an unidentifiable sense of unease, yet unable to pinpoint what felt off. Song Wenyuan's plan sounded perfectly reasonable: guides, sentries, and himself only commanding the main reserve. Every arrangement seemed tailored to benefit the whole faction. He gave a reluctant nod in the end. Very well. Stay sharp and don't treat our guides roughly. Li Hao wrapped his fingers gently around Shen Qingxi's wrist and gave it a soft squeeze. She looked up and met his gaze. He tilted his head slightly and whispered two words audible only to her. Stick close to me. Don't let go. Li Hao led the group deeper into the woodland. The corrugated metal shed of the arms depot soon came into view. At the sight of its warped iron gate and rust-covered roof, Song Wenyuan could barely contain the triumphant grin spreading across his face. His mind raced as he tallied up potential ammunition stockpiles, gunpowder reserves, and all the weaponry needed to fully outfit every member of his brotherhood. That metal building up ahead is the depot. Li Hao halted and pointed toward the structure. Song Wenyuan squinted and scanned the surroundings for a moment, finding no trace of active void WIRMS. He nodded in satisfaction and clapped Zhao Taizhu on the shoulder. President, I'll head over with a few men to scout it out. With that, he marched toward the metal shed alongside Ma San and several other gang members. They had barely covered 20 paces when the tree canopy above erupted in chaos. Dozens of three-headed monkey lizards dropped down from the trees all at once, throwing the Iron Fist Brotherhood into total disarray. Some collapsed to their knees, clutching bleeding ears before being dragged away into the thickets. Others fired harpoon rifles wildly with no clear target to aim for. A handful turned to flee, only to be tackled from the flanks by the descending beasts. Form up around me. Don't scatter. Roaring from the rear of the panicked crowd, Zhao Taizhu fired 3 consecutive shots from his harpoon gun, pinning one monkey lizard attacking a fallen comrade to a tree trunk. His formidable combat skills allowed him to rally several men into a defensive circle amid the chaos, fending off the creatures while pulling wounded allies back to safety. Still, he could not save everyone. For all his strength as the Iron Fist, he only had 2 hands. Meanwhile, Li Hao had slipped away mid-journey while acting as their guide. He tugged Shen Qingxi behind a massive ancient tree, using the shade cast by the foliage to sneak quietly toward the outer edge of the forest. Clutching Li Hao's wrist tightly with one hand, Shen Qingxi pressed her other palm over her mouth to muffle any sound. Her slippers slid repeatedly across the mossy ground, forcing her to stagger unsteadily with every hurried step. Her heart hammered so violently it felt ready to burst out of her throat, yet she bit her lip hard to stifle any whimper. The pair broke through the outer tree line and burst out onto the open shore of the floating island. Their airship rested on a rocky ledge not far ahead, its anchor firmly wedged into rock cracks, and its hatch sealed exactly as they had left it. They were not the only ones who had escaped the carnage. The bushes on the opposite side of the woodland rustled violently, and several figures stumbled and tumbled out into the open. It was Song Wenyuan. Half the sleeve of his dark outer coat had been torn clean off, revealing a fresh, bleeding gash on his arm. Though he fared far better than the 2 men scrambling out behind him, Mawson staggered out last. One ear crusted over with dried blood, while fresh blood oozed steadily from his other ear. He swiped his sleeve across his face, smearing blood and mucus all over his features, then shrieked furiously at Li Hao. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately led us straight into a swarm of void WIRMS. All my men are dead, every single one of them.